Part 20. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 192. After being excited for a while, Yagami Ryusuke also opened his character panel and found the entry that exuded the brightest light. God level talent entries. Let me see what your attributes are like. Ryusuke Yagami clicked on the information of this entry with excitement. God of space, God level, you control space, and no space can restrain you, but will be used by you. You are the God of space, and no one can match you in the use of space abilities. Space ability power at 3000%. Space ability consumption minus 3000%. The speed of using space abilities is at 3000%. Attached. Yomi Hirazan. Comes with space pressure. What a powerful God-level entry. Ryusuke Yagami looked at the information about this brand new God-level entry, God of Space. I finally understand why this thing is called a God-level entry. He is indeed as strong as a god. Even if you only have such an entry, you can be so powerful that you are fearless. Its three numerical attributes all have a 3000% bonus. Ryusuke Yagami does not is this bonus high or low among God-level entries. If it was low, then the power of the God-level entry would really be beyond his imagination. After all, an increase of 3000% is already terrifying in the eyes of Ryusuke Yagami. If there is 4000% or 5000% above this, that would be terrible. Fortunately, this terrible entry is unique to me. Ryusuke Yagami thought with a knowing smile. In addition, this God-level entry also comes with 2 410 special abilities. This is the first time among the many entries that Ryusuke Yagami has opened. An entry with 2 special abilities appears. Maybe this is also the standard for God-level entries. Otherwise, how can it be called God-level? It is because it is different from other entries and is higher than them, so it is qualified to be called it's a God level. And the 2 special abilities attached to the God level entry, God of Space, are also very powerful. There is no need to say more about Yomi Hirazan. The abilities possessed by Itsutsuki Kagaya and Itsutsuki Urashiki. They can travel through each other. Different spaces, and there is no need for coordinates or anything like that. You can just think of where you want to go. Whether you are traveling at home or in battle. It is a very useful ability. Moreover, the normal underworld is better than Liangban. There is a disadvantage, that is, it takes a long time to activate. It is easy to be targeted. But Ryusuke Yagami has the entry of God of Space, which not only increases the power of space-type abilities by 30 times. The speed of simultaneous execution, it has also been improved by 30 times. The original shortcomings of Wanquan Hirasaka are not shortcomings at all when it comes to him. It takes a long time to turn on? That doesn't exist. I turned it on instantly and turned it off instantly. Don't even think about turning it on after me. Come in through the portal together. Don't even think about it. Yomi Hirazan. Ryusuke Yagami immediately tried it. After adding the God-level entry God of Space to his equipment, he opened a red portal in the mid-air in front of him with a wave of his hand. In an instant, Ryusuke Yagami, through this red portal, I came to another space. This is Obito's Kamui space. Now he can freely travel through the Hirazan mountain without using the Kamui Eye technique. It is indeed the ultimate time and space ability. Strong in one word. Brush. Ryusuke Yagami returned to Konoha's training ground through Hirazaka. Except for the 1 or 2 seconds when he stayed in the Kamui space, the total time spent traveling back and forth was less than 0.1 seconds. The time for the red portal to open is almost 0. It opens instantly, and then closes instantly after he passes by. What matters is efficiency. This Wanquan is better than Liangban. Before, I always wanted to go to the moon and transform Itsutsuki Tonari's entries, but I couldn't remember where the moon passage was. Now, I can just teleport there. Ryusuke Yagamai also lamented that the underworld was opened in time compared to Ryusaka. Just when he was worrying about how to get to the inside of the moon, it came. How good! Look at this space pressure again. This should be an ability similar to the Samsara eye pressure and the white eye pressure, right? Ryusuke Yagamai immediately focused on the additional ability of spatial pressure. Space pressure, manipulate the power of space to cause an invisible and insubstantial squeeze on a large-scale target, making the target unable to move, or even crushing it into powder. His extruded into powder? Are you talking about space pressure? Instead of space collapse? Originally, Ryusuke Yagamai thought this was a move used to oppress the opponent, thereby drastically reducing the opponent's combat power and rendering him helpless. Result, this is actually an offensive ability. It can be used directly to kill enemies. Of course, using space pressure to squeeze the opponent into powder may require Ryusuke Yagamai's strength to far exceed that of the opponent. But you can't stand Ryusuke Yagamai's 30 times space power bonus. With a 30-fold bonus, the required strength might have been quite different. But now, maybe those with similar strength can directly suppress each other in one space and crush the opponent into powder. Darling, this is an instant kill right from the start. Ryusuke Yagamai was amazed at the power of this ability. Of course, the ability is indeed powerful, but the strongest thing is the 30 times bonus. It is indeed a god-level talent entry, so powerful. Even if there is only such an entry, Yagamai Ryusuke feels that he is invincible. Huanquan Hirasaka can be used to escape or avoid attacks. Space coercion is a means to fight against the enemy. There is an attack and a defense. I have seen it. God of Space. After discovering the powerful attributes of this god-level entry, Yagamai Ryusuke also closed the character panel with satisfaction. Then he waited for a while, but did not hear the prompt that the system was about to update. Weird, isn't it just a god-level entry that is updated? Need more? Or does the third update still require golden entries? Ryusuke Yagamai frowned. I originally thought that after obtaining a god-level entry, the system would be updated for the third time. Unexpectedly, I guessed wrong. I don't know the conditions for the third version update. What is it? Or should I say, there is no third update at all? Was it Ryusuke Yagamai who came up with it all by himself? Yagamai Ryusuke shook his head and then stopped thinking about this problem. It could not be that the conditions for the update were not met, or there was no third version update. If you want to read cool novels, go to Fila Novel Network. Anyway, Ryusuke Yagamai couldn't let the system answer his question. It's not like he hasn't tried it before. The system simply doesn't answer these types of questions. It was as if it was just for him to guess. It's hard to do. The next day, Ryusuke Yagamai transformed another blue entry, then decomposed it and gained 100 experience points. I still have 2 useless purple entries on hand, but I can try to synthesize the gold entries. However, I just synthesized a god-level entry yesterday, and I guess I have exhausted my recent luck. Don't rush yet, just save some experience points first. Ryusuke Yagamai glanced at the bottom of his character panel. There were 2 purple entries without equipment. These 2 entries were transformed by him before and were never equipped. The reason is simple, for him useless. Let's save up for a month first and then talk about it. Golden entries are not so easy to synthesize. Ryusuke Yagamai thought. 1 month, that is, 3,000 experience points. In addition, decomposing 2 purple words can also get 2,000 experience points. So the total cost is 5,000. And upgrading 1 purple word, it takes 10,000 experience points to reach gold. In comparison, it can save 5,000 experience points. It's pretty good. I just hope that the synthesized golden entries won't be too rubbish. The Shadow Swordsman last time was pretty good. Yes. The shadow ability is very useful. And there is also a sword power bonus, which is also pretty good. Speaking of swordsmanship, Yagami Ryusuke made an appointment with Yojao yesterday to help her practice swordsmanship today. Now Yagami, as soon as Ryusuke arrived at the place they agreed on, he saw Xian already practicing alone. Here you go, look at the sword. As soon as 11 Yan saw Ryusuke Yagami, she immediately stabbed her with a sword. Her swordsmanship has been greatly improved compared to half a year ago. This is also inseparable from Ryusuke Yagami practicing with her again and giving guidance. She has made 11 Yan's current strength surpass that of an ordinary official jounin, and is just a hair away from an elite jounin. In fact, in the past 6 months, many people around Ryusuke Yagami have gained in strength. Substantial improvement. Not to mention people like Kakashi, who accumulated a lot because the original burden was gone. Like Yuyan, Yuhihong, and Anko. Their strength has also reached the standard of an official jounin, or even exceeded it. Although Kurane Yoi had already held the official title of jounin before. But to be honest, Yuhei Kurane's official jounin was originally assigned to her by Sarutobi Asuma in order to pursue her, but later Asuma found that he could not move Yuhei Kurane's heart. It even made Yuihong hate him more and more. But it is impossible to take back the title of jounin. After all, Yoi Kurane didn't make any big mistakes. Moreover, Asuma still had some unrealistic fantasies in her mind at that time. Thinking that the beautiful woman might change her mind. Pity. Before he could wait for that day, he unfortunately died at the hands of Ryusuke Yagami because of his task of guarding the Hokage building. Now even the Sarutobi clan is about to disappear in Konoha. The ambush half a year ago had no negative impact on Ryusuke Yagami, and it even made him a huge profit. More than half of the compensation paid by Kyomagakure and his 3 villages went into Yagami Ryusuke's pocket. Tsunade said it was what Ryusuke Yagami deserved. Others had no objections either. But what's interesting is that as soon as Tsunade handed the money to Ryusuke Yagami, she came to borrow money from him, and the amount she borrowed was 100 million ryo. Ryusuke Yagami was not stingy enough not to lend it to Tsunade. But now that the money is in Tsunade's hands, do you want to get it back? That's impossible. In fact, within a week, Tsunade lost all the 100 million taels she borrowed. Fortunately, Konoha's casino had been acquired by Ryusuke Yagami long ago. Therefore, the 100 million ryo exported by Tsunade is actually equivalent to returning to the hands of Ryusuke Yagami. But Tsunade didn't know this. For this reason, she avoided Ryusuke Yagami for a while, fearing that Ryusuke Yagami would ask her when she would pay back the money. In fact, this demigod Ryusuke never asked Tsunade for the money once. After hiding for a while, she found that Ryusuke Yagami didn't seem to want to pay, so Tsunade stopped hiding from him. Even after losing so much money at once, Tsunade didn't go to Konoha's casino for a while. That's not to say I quit. In fact, it's just that I have no money. Until now, Yagami Ryusuke himself doesn't know how much money he has. Anyway, there are definitely tens of billions. 1.9, but has it exceeded 100 billion? He really hadn't calculated this carefully. Anyway, he has dedicated people taking care of his money. These people have been hypnotized by his magic and are 100% loyal to him. He is not afraid that they will donate money and run away. Ryusuke Yagami can definitely be a hands-off shopkeeper. Just spend as much money as you want every day. However, Ryusuke Yagami actually doesn't spend much money, he just spends some money on training expenses and food and drink. For other things, I just buy some things for my girlfriends every time I go shopping with them. But this expense is really nothing compared to his tens of billions of net worth. At the training ground, Ryusuke Yagami practiced swordsmanship with 11 Yan all afternoon. Then we made an appointment to have dinner together, and in the evening we walked around the village's commercial street, bought some things, and then went home. Late at night, Ryosuke Yagamai was lying on the edge of the bathtub, with Yogan rubbing his back behind him. During this period, every time after practicing swordsmanship with 11 Yan, Yagamai Ryosuke would come to 11 Yan's house to take a bath. The euphemistic name is to get rid of fatigue. In fact, both Ryosuke Yagamai and 11 Yan knew that he was not tired at all. After all, it's not like Yojeo has never seen Yagamai Ryosuke's training intensity. It's strange that I'm tired from just practicing swordsmanship in the afternoon. But Xian didn't expose Yagamai Ryosuke's little excuse. Instead, she generously took a bath with him and occasionally gave him a back massage. The two of them had done almost everything except the last step. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 193. The next day, morning. Ryosuke Yagamai ate the breakfast prepared by Yojeo at Yojeo's house, and then Yojeo went out to work in the umbu. Ryosuke Yagamai created a wooden clone and asked the wooden clone to lead Team 10 to perform the mission. As for himself, he plans to take a trip to the interior of the moon today. Yesterday I had an appointment with 11 Yan, so I didn't go. But he has nothing to do today. Now that he has mastered the ability to go to the inside of the moon, Ryosuke Yagamai will not hold off going. Get it done as soon as possible, and maybe you can actually get a pair of reincarnated eyes. For this pair of eyes that are on the same level as the Samsara eye. Ryosuke Yagamai has also been looking forward to it for a long time. Yomi Hirazan. Brush. Ryosuke Yagamai passed through the red portal and came to the inside of the moon in an instant. This was also the first time he came to the inside of the moon. In his impression, this place seemed to be a space like a small world. Wait until Ryosuke Yagamai. After I came here, I found that it was indeed the case. The entire space inside the moon is like a complete small world. There is the ground, there is the sky, and you can even see many buildings in the distance. Those are the things that were built on the moon in the past. The house where the Itsutsuki clan lived, but it has long been abandoned and no one lives in it. Ryosuke Yagamai released his Kagura inner eye. The powerful perception instantly enveloped the entire space inside the moon. There was only one chakra fluctuation, and it seemed that Itsutsuki Tonari's father had passed away. Ryosuke Yagamai thought to himself. At the same time, the arrival of Ryosuke Yagamai, an outsider, was discovered by Itsutsuki Tonari immediately. Because the entire inner space of the moon is covered with artifacts made by Itsutsuki Tonari's father. Countless puppets, these puppets can share consciousness with Itsutsuki Tonari. For Tonari, who has no eyes, these puppets are his eyes. Outsider? Are they people from the ground? In a luxurious palace, Itsutsuki Tonari, who was sitting on a chair and was deep in thought, suddenly stood up. The next second, the entire lunar space seemed to be shaking. Countless puppets rose into the sky and headed towards Yagamai. Ryosuke is coming. Thousands of densely packed puppets. Kill the intruder. Itsutsuki Tonari gave an order to these puppets. In an instant, these thousands of puppets launched an attack on Ryosuke Yagamai. Just a puppet. Ryosuke Yagamai's eyes swept across the overwhelming crowd of puppets. The next second, the red samsara eyes in his eyes emitted a faint red light. Shinra Tianzhang. Boom. The powerful repulsion instantly smashed the large group of attacking puppets into pieces. Yagamai Ryosuke's Shinra Tensei is much more powerful than Nagato's. In his hands, the ordinary Shinra Tensei is even as effective as Nagato's. It was like a super Shinra attack. On the spot, thousands of puppets were blasted to pieces. But more puppets still rushed up without knowing whether to live or die, and all kinds of attacks were poured towards Ryosuke Yagamai. Useless attack. Ryosuke Yagamai said lightly. The next second. Brush. Several rays of black light quickly passed through these overwhelming puppets. In just a blink of an eye, Thousands of puppets exploded one after another, turning into a sky full of the fragments scattered. Yagami Ryuzyuk hooked his finger. The six-seeking jade flew back and turned into a dark ninja sword in his hand. Yagami Ryuzyuk rose into the sky with a swipe, heading directly towards the distant place. The palace complex flew away. In the palace at this time, Atsutsuki Tonari, who had just sent out the puppet group, also felt that the puppets were being eliminated. The intruder is very strong. Atsutsuki Tonari looked into the distance with his empty eyes. He seemed to be able to see the figure flying here. In fact, he did feel the terrifying chakra coming here. Next seconds. Boom. There was a loud noise. The entire front part of the palace was instantly blown to pieces. Ryusuke Yagami stood in the air, looking down at Atsutsuki Tonari, who had dodged the blow. All things are attracted by heaven. An astonishing suction force came. Atsutsuki Tonari, who had just dodged, was involuntarily pulled in the direction of Yagami Ryusuke. Brush. Yagami Ryusuke pinched Atsutsuki with one hand. Neck. Open. Atsutsuki Tonari punched angrily. However, Yagami Ryusuke easily blocked it with one hand. It's useless. The strength gap between you and me is like the sky and the earth. You are as weak in front of me as an ant crawling on the ground, so give up. Yagami. Ryusuke said calmly. Delusion. Atsutsuki Tonari roared. And the next second, his head was broken by Yagami Ryusuke's punch. Blood filled the sky. With a move of his hand, a ball of blood flew up and was taken into the system's biopheromone warehouse. Inside. Prepare to convert it into talent entries later. On the other side, Atsutsuki Tonari, who was punched and blood spilled in the sky, was also hit hard on the ground. He struggled to get up, his hollow eyes straight. Yagami Ryusuke stared at the sky. Damn it! Why are the humans on this ground so strong? Atsutsuki Tonari clenched his fists with both hands and disappeared from the spot with a bang. Ryusuke Yagami looked down and saw Atsutsuki Tonari running in a direction in the distance. Although he didn't know where this guy planned to run. Where, but Ryusuke Yagami still followed. Brush. He was flying in the sky, and Tonari Atsutsuki was running on the ground. After a while, they came to the other side of the inner space of the moon. Once here, Ryusuke Yagami finally knew why is Atsutsuki Tonari running this way? Did you originally plan to use the power of the giant reincarnation eye to destroy me? Ryusuke Yagami had a smile on his lips. The power of the giant reincarnation eye is indeed impressive, but the distance to kill him? It's still far from enough. But Atsutsuki Tonari didn't know this, and he put all his hope away on this huge reincarnation eye. Come on, help me kill this intruder. Atsutsuki Tonari rushed onto a platform that looked like an altar. He opened his hands and connected his consciousness to the huge reincarnation eye in the sky. At this time, the huge golden reincarnation eye also released thousands of glorious lights. A surging wave. The power gathered in it. Ryusuke Yagami raised his head and looked at the huge golden reincarnation eye. As the energy inside it was activated, it was like a huge laser turret, firing a beam that penetrated the sky and the earth. The golden energy beam was heading straight towards Ryusuke Yagami. Shinra Tianzheng. Ryusuke Yagami opened his hands, and a powerful repulsive force in the air hundreds of meters away from him collided with the attack released by the huge reincarnation eye. It only lasted for about a second or two, and the power of Shinra Tenzen after being crushed, the golden beam of light continued to hit Ryusuke Yagami with unabated force. Interesting. He stretched out his right hand, and a black hole-like ball appeared in the palm of his hand. The High Emperor's spiritual master. The space was distorted, and the golden beam emitted by the huge reincarnation eye was instantly absorbed by Yagami Ryusuke's reincarnation eye. A steady stream of huge energy was absorbed into this small black hole. The whole process lasted for about 10 seconds. Then, Atsutsuki Tonari over there could no longer hold up and fell to one knee on the ground. Plop! Atsutsuki Tonari, who was kneeling on the ground, raised his head and looked over there in disbelief. This is impossible. This is impossible. He couldn't accept that even the power of the huge reincarnation I couldn't kill this intruder. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. That was his last hope. But the result is still a failure. What happened? Why can this intruder even withstand the power of the giant Tsenjigen? Atsutsuki Tonari pounded his fist on the ground. A feeling of despair arose in my heart. At the same time, on the other side, Ryosuke Yagamai waved his hand after absorbing the attack of the huge reincarnation eye, and a ball of golden energy instantly flew out of his hand and blasted towards the ground in the inner space of the moon. Rumble. The power of destroying heaven and earth exploded instantly. The entire space inside the moon is collapsing. It seems as if the entire space is about to be destroyed. At this moment, the huge reincarnation eye hanging in the sky once again released golden light. But this time it is not attacking anyone, but using its own power to maintain the stability of the entire inner space of the moon. After a while, the internal space of the moon that was collapsing also stabilized. However, nearly 80% of the entire lunar space at this time has been destroyed. Only the surrounding area is still relatively well preserved. Although Atsutsuki Tonari has no eyes and cannot see all this, he can feel it. Looking at the mostly destroyed lunar space, Atsutsuki Tonari fell into a brief silence for a while. He didn't know how to describe his mood at this moment. Everything that happened today was 10 years worse than he had been in the past. Everything he had experienced in the past few years was exaggerated and unbelievable. Even Atsutsuki Tonari, who had never had such an emotion before, started to be afraid of the intruder in front of him at this moment. The opponent's power was too great stronger. Tonari Atsutsuki can no longer even think of resisting. Dying. Tonari Atsutsuki thought. If it were him, he would not let go of his enemy. After all, only dead enemies are the best enemies. Any living enemy is a threat. But wait. For a while, Tonari Atsutsuki didn't wait for death to come. He couldn't help but look to the sky in confusion. You won't kill me? Asked Atsutsuki. Tonari. Why should I kill you? Ryosuke Yagamai slowly landed in front of him, looked at him and said. I am your enemy. If you don't kill me, aren't you afraid that I will retaliate against you in the future? As an honest person, Atsutsuki Tonari directly said what was in his heart. If he were a cunning person, he would definitely not say this now. After all, you are not forcing yourself to say this in 360. Do you want the other party to kill you? How much do you want to die to do this? But Atsutsuki Tonari is an honest man. He has not been in contact with many people and does not know what intrigues mean. He is still very simple in his heart. As long as I am always stronger than you, why should I worry about your revenge? Ryosuke Yagamai said lightly. Of course. This is not the case. After all, revenge does not have to be on the person involved. He can also take revenge on the people close to him. But Atsutsuki Tonari doesn't understand these. I don't know what Yagamai Ryosuke is planning. At this moment, when he heard Yagamai Ryosuke's words, he even felt a little admiration for him. This is a real strong man. Atsutsuki Tonari thought. And Ryosuke Yagamai looked at the eyeless Atsutsuki Tonari in front of him, and then took out a pair of Byakugan from the sealed space in his palm. This pair of Byakugan was taken from the Hyuga family. He was originally an elder of the Hyuga clan. Eyes. This old guy's brain is somewhat abnormal. I don't know what makes him think he can control Ryosuke Yagamai. When Ryosuke Yagamai visited Hineda's house a few months ago, this old guy actually treated him. He pointed and taught him a lesson like an elder. Ryosuke Yagami even wondered if this old guy was controlled by someone using illusions. Otherwise, how could he do such a stupid thing? However, someone who can use illusions in front of Ryosuke Yagami without being discovered by him has not yet been born in the ninja world. Therefore, Ryosuke Yagami finally concluded that this old guy must be too old and his brain is a little unclear. Or maybe he is used to being aloof all the time, and feels that Yagami Ryosuke is still a young man. In addition, with Hinata's relationship, he thinks that he is qualified to teach him a lesson. What a pity. He overestimated himself. And the final result was also needless to say. The appearance of these white eyes on Yagami Ryosuke's hands is enough to explain everything. Regarding this, Hinata Hizu was not angry. He was even a little happy. In fact, Hinata Hizu was not happy with these elders of the clan. It's been a long time. I used to point fingers at him, the clan leader, and always liked to teach him how to do things. He even wanted to give Hinata and Hanabi the seal of a caged bird. Now that the old guy has provoked Yagami Ryosuke himself, then he deserved it. How could Hinata Hizashi be angry? He even drank secretly to celebrate. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 194. You are a real strong person. I am convinced if I lose to you. Atsutsuki Tonari knelt on one knee, raised his head and said to Yagami Ryosuke. He was so naive that he was completely unaware of the dangers of human hearts. He also didn't realize that Yagami Ryosuke was completely digging a hole for him. And he actually jumped in by himself, and he danced very happily and admired him. Ryosuke Yagami also didn't expect that Atsutsuki Tonari was so simple, which made him feel a little embarrassed. But he didn't draw the bow. Turn around, let's talk about it again. How shameless he is. Excuse me? It only happened in a moment, and it was already forgotten in the blink of an eye. I have a pair of eyes here, given to you. Ryosuke Yagami said, and directly stuffed the white eyes on his hands into Atsutsuki Tonari's eye sockets. When it comes to organ transplantation technology, the ninja world is definitely a master-level existence. Button the eye beads, and then you can just put it in and use it. Who in the world can do that? But in the ninja world, this is all trivial. Atsutsuki Tonari was stuffed by Yagami Ryosuke with a pair of white eyes into his eye sockets, and he just closed his eyes and rubbed them, and then the eyes were successfully connected, and it can still be used. Do you think it is magical or not? But after all, his surname is Atsutsuki. It is normal to be able to do such an operation. If this is Chimera, then it will not work. Maybe I have to ask some great scientist to help me, and get an ugly arm or something. I also have to wear a bandage all day long and dare not see people. Obviously. Atsutsuki Tonari is comparable to a certain Chimera Nikage, much stronger. These Byakugan are plug and play. When he saw the world in his field of vision for the first time, Atsutsuki Tonari was also extremely excited. And more importantly, Yagami Ryo what Jisei gave him was a pair of Byakugan. And it was a pair of Byakugan of the clan elder. Although the purity was not as high as that of Hinata and Hanabi, it was not low. Therefore, this pair of Byakugan was successfully connected to Atsutsuki Tonari's. Behind the body, a pupil power that had been hidden in Tonari's body for a long time also completely exploded. This feeling. Atsutsuki Tonari was immersed in this indescribable feeling and found it difficult to extricate himself. At this time, a pair of red samsara eyes in his sight suddenly enlarged infinitely, until they covered the sky and the sun, covering the entire world. Atsutsuki Tonari, who was still immersed in excited emotions just now, suddenly had a dull expression on his face. No god. Ryusuke Yagami used the power of the Rinnegan Eye to perform the Butsudan God Eye technique, and combined with his other illusion technique, Etsutsuki Tonari was instantly dragged into the world of illusion. Into a sinking state. The special God's Eye technique that Ryusuke Yagami took from Danzo is not an eye technique that permanently modifies a person's will and thoughts, it is just a temporary hypnosis. But they are essentially the same, except that one is temporary and the other is permanent. And Yagami Ryusuke used it in conjunction with the brainwashing illusion technique he created. Under the powerful power of the Rinnegan, even Etsutsuki Tonari was instantly controlled. Remember, I am your master and you must obey all my commands. Ryusuke Yagami implanted a thought into the depths of Etsutsuki Tonari's memory, and it was firmly imprinted in his mind and became his lowest instinct. After a moment, Ryusuke Yagami lifted this thought. Genjutsu. The Etsutsuki Tonari in front of him was stunned for a moment, and then he immediately reacted and quickly saluted to Ryusuke Yagami respectfully. Yakama-sama, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to my subordinate, but he suddenly lost a memory. It's okay, you were brainwashed before, but now I have made you return to normal. Yakami Ryusuke said calmly. He stretched out his hand to help Tonari up. Lord Yagami, I wonder who is so despicable that he brainwashed me. Etsutsuki Tonari looked angry. That person has been hiding in the ninja world, and even I can't find any trace of him, but one day he will show up on his own initiative. When the time comes, I will let you personally take action to avenge today. Ryusuke Yagami said with a serious look on his face. Thank you, Lord Yagami. Etsutsuki Tonari looked grateful. Yes. Even though Yagami Ryusuke is such a thick-skinned person, he feels a little embarrassed in his heart. However, it can be seen that the brainwashing this time was indeed successful. It was Etsutsuki Tonari who obtained this pair of white eyes, and the pupil power accumulated in his body for many years exploded, making his white eyes seem to be evolving towards the reincarnation eye. But even so, he still couldn't resist Ryusuke Yagami's genjutsu brainwashing. With the cooperation of other gods, the effect of the brainwashing illusion created by Yagami Ryusuke has made a qualitative leap, as long as Etsutsuki Tonari does not surpass Yagami Ryusuke in terms of eye power for a day. There is no way he would have discovered the fact that he had been brainwashed by Ryusuke Yagami. And will Ryusuke Yagami's eye power be surpassed by Tonari Etsutsuki? This is impossible no matter how you look at it. Even if his Byakugan really evolved to the level of the reincarnation eye. But his pupil power is only comparable to the ordinary samsara eye. And Ryusuke Yagami's eye power is 30 times that of the ordinary Rinnegan. No matter what, it is impossible for Etsutsuki Tonari to reach the standard of pupil power. Therefore, he would never be able to escape the control of Ryusuke Yagami for the rest of his life, unless one day Ryusuke Yagami voluntarily gave up his control. Or, one day Ryusuke Yagami lost his current power and his eyes of reincarnation. But these possibilities are almost zero. With Ryusuke Yagami's current strength, looking at the entire ninja world, who can take away his eyes of reincarnation? Who can make him lose this power? Shiren, I have a task for you. Ryusuke Yagami said to Etsutsuki Tonari. Please give me your orders, Lord Yagami. Etsutsuki Tonari immediately knelt down on one knee and lowered his head. He looked respectful. I want you to go to the ninja world, find an organization called Shell, and join it. Ryusuke Yagami ordered. He controlled Etsutsuki Tonari, brainwashed him, and made him become his loyal subordinate. In order to have a powerful subordinate who can be dispatched. And, if Etsutsuki Tonari is really he found the Shell organization and joined it. Then Etsutsuki Ishiki will definitely find the pure blood of the Etsutsuki clan in Etsutsuki Tonari. Isn't this the most suitable container he has been looking for? And once Etsutsuki Ishiki is reincarnated into Tonari's body, then he will trigger the imprint of Ryusuke Yagami in Tonari's brain, and then be controlled by Ryusuke Yagami. By then, Ryusuke Yagami won't have to bother, and he won't even meet him. You can successfully control Otsutsuki Ishiki, the sixth one. Tonari must find this shell organization for Lord Yagami. Otsutsuki Tonari lowered his head and assured. Well, now I'm sending you to the ninja world, don't resist. Ryusuke Yagami said, opening a red portal at Tonari's feet. Tonari's body instantly fell into the portal. When he appeared again, he had arrived in a forest in the ninja world. He fell to the ground, Otsutsuki Tonari respectfully bowed to the sky, and then quickly disappeared in place. Next. Otsutsuki Tonari will follow Yagami Ryusuke's order to look for traces of the shell organization in the ninja world. And blend it into it. As for how he is going to find the shell organization, there is no need for Yagami Ryusuke to order this, Otsutsuki Tonari will figure it out by himself. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. Anyway, with his strength, as long as he doesn't encounter enemies at the Super Shadow level, he can deal with them with ease. And when his eyes successfully evolve to the Reincarnation Eye level, even Super Shadow level existences will not be able to do anything to him. After all, Tonari's potential is at the 6th path level. As long as he improves step by step, his strength will reach the 6th path level in at most 2 or 3 years. After sending Otsutsuki Tonari away, Yagami Ryusuke also looked at the sky. That huge reincarnated eye. This thing can't be absorbed for the time being, so let's keep it here for now. Yagami Ryusuke said. Anyway, there is no one in the space inside the moon now. Apart from him, only Otsutsuki Tonari knows about it. As long as Tonari doesn't come, no one will find this huge reincarnation eye. For now, let's put it aside. If it stays here, you don't have to worry about it being taken away by others. Moreover, if nothing else happens, Ryusuke Yagami should be able to take away this huge reincarnation eye soon. First, convert Tonari's talent entries. In the future, Tonaren will also be a 6th-level existence, so he should be able to convert 3 golden entries. Ryusuke Yagami took out a drop of Otsutsuki Tonari's blood from the system's biopheromone warehouse, and then let the system transform it. Ding! Conversion successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the talent entry, host of the Tsenjiken, Gold, descendant of Otsutsuki, Gold, destroyer of the ninja world, Gold, really? Hear the prompts ringing in your head. Ryusuke Yagami also had a smile on his lips. As expected, the 6th path level Shiren can transform into 3 golden entries. Just like Naruto, Sasuke, and Obito before. When it comes to converting entries, the 6th level powerhouse is the most cost-effective. Even if they are broken down, they are still worth 30,000 experience points. Ryusuke Yagami sighed in his heart. What a pity. There are too few people in the ninja world who can reach the 6 paths level. Apart from Saunaru, there are only Otsutsuki Toner and Otsutsuki Ishiki. As for Metkai, strictly speaking, it's not the 6th level, but the attack power can reach an extremely high level in a short time. Therefore, it can only transform 1 golden entry. Let's take a look at the properties of these 3 entries of Shiren. It all sounds pretty good. Ryusuke Yagami opened his character panel. He was most interested in the Tsenjiken, so he first checked the entry host of the Tsenjian. Host of the Tenseigen, Gold. You are the first person in the ninja world to awaken the Tenseigen. Your eyes possess the power to destroy the world. Those are the eyes that even Otsutsuki envies and wants. Golden will reincarnation explosive power at 1000%. Yinlun's explosive power at 1000%. Eye power at 500%. Comes with the host of the reincarnated eye. Tisk tisk. As expected, it is an entry related to the Tenseigen. The 3 attributes that increase the value are all related to the reincarnation eye. 2 are to increase the attributes of the 2 attack pupil techniques of the reincarnated eye, both of which are 10 times the bonus. One is the attribute that increases pupil power. However, this attribute is common to abilities such as the Reincarnation Eye, Samsara Eye, Sharinan Eye, etc. Finally, this is what Ryusuke Yagamai is looking forward to most. The host of the Reincarnated Eye, you are the host recognized by the Reincarnated Eye. If you have the Byakugan ability, then your Byakugan will evolve into the Reincarnated Eye in a short period of time. This is what you want. After Yagamai Ryusuke saw the effect of this ability, he immediately raised his arms and cheered. It is similar to the effect of the previous container of the Reincarnation Eye. The effect of this host of the Reincarnation Eye also allows the eyes to evolve. And the former requires the Sharinan. The latter requires the Byakugan. Just right. Ryusuke Yagamai has both. And the eye power is off the charts. Immediately, Ryusuke Yagamai was directly equipped with this entry. Instantly, the power of his pupils increased a lot, and at the same time, the red samsara eyes in both eyes closed automatically, and then the eyes turned into white eyes, and in the center of the white eyes, a faint green color was brewing, and gradually surrounded it the white color of his eyes also turned green. Ryusuke Yagamai touched his eyes. Is this the fetal movement state of the Reincarnated Eye? He closed his eyes and opened them again. His eyes had returned to normal. It may be because Yagamai Ryusuke already has the same level of reincarnation eyes, or his pupil power is too strong. Therefore, even during fetal movement in this state, his eyes can still be used. There is no need to close his eyes all day long or even put on a bandage to avoid affecting the state of fetal movement. Moreover, Yagamai Ryusuke's fetal movement is extremely efficient. It can be felt that these white eyes are evolving towards the Reincarnation Eye at an extremely fast speed. The fetal movement will be over in a day or two at most. By then, the white eyes of Ryusuke Yagamai will have completely evolved to a higher level. The Reincarnation Eye. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 195. For a day or two, Yagamai Ryusuke still had the patience to wait. Besides, this doesn't affect his ability to use the Samsara Eye, it's just that the Byakugan can no longer be used. Great entry, Tonari Atsutsuki is truly my lucky star. Yagamai Ryusuke smiled broadly, wondering why this boy Atsutsuki Tonari is so pleasing to the eye. Try to arrange some easy tasks for him in the future, if he really finds the shell organization and gets in, I will save his life. Having said this, Ryusuke Yagamai also checked the attributes of the other two entries. This host of the Reincarnation Eye entry is already so powerful. I wonder what the attributes of the other two entries are? Descendant of Atsutsuki, Gold. You are a descendant of the Atsutsuki clan. Pure Atsutsuki bloodline flows in your body. Your noble bloodline also brings you great strength. Chakra add 1000%. The power of magic add 1000%. Comes with Atsutsuki's physique. Atsutsuki's physique, the special physique of the Atsutsuki clan, immortality. Even if half of your body is blown apart, you can still recover in the blink of an eye. Not bad. Another strong entry. Let's not talk about chakra enhancement. After all, Ryusuke Yagamai's chakra has exceeded the standard by too much. If there is another tenfold bonus, the difference is actually not that big. However, the addition of magical power is amazing. Originally, Ryusuke Yagamai only had one entry that added to the power of Senjutsu. And 8 times more. Now there is a new entry that increases the power of magic, and it is 10 times the power directly. Good guy. This time, the magic power is increased by a full 18 times. What's more, this entry actually comes with the physique of the Atsutsuki clan. Isn't this what Ryusuke Yagamai wanted before? An immortal physique. And it's just a physical constitution, it won't turn into the albino appearance of the Atsutsuki clan. After Ryusuke Yagamai equipped this entry, he felt that his body had undergone some fundamental changes in life. Immortal and immortal. Got it so easily. Ryosuke Yagami couldn't help but blinked, feeling a very unreal 110 feeling. However, having had the experience of obtaining immortality before, Yagami Ryosuke recovered quickly. The physique of the Itsutsuki clan, in fact, what I need most is the recovery speed. Half of Uchiha Madara's body was exploded by Metkai's kick, but it grew back in the blink of an eye. This terrifying recovery speed is what I really want. After all, my original immortality has already given me the characteristics of longevity, but I don't know yet whether it counts as true immortality. The physique of the Itsutsuki clan makes up for the shortcomings of Ryosuke Yagami's immortality. For this reason alone, this entry is very powerful. Not to mention, the two attributes in front of it are also quite powerful. Both of them are very powerful. This is the attribute Yagami Ryosuke needs. Two of the three entries transformed from Itsutsuki Tonari are very useful. If the third one is like this, then Itsutsuki Tonari is really my lucky star. Yagami Ryosuke thought to himself, and then clicked on the properties of the last entry. Destroyer of the Ninja World. Gold. You have been tasked with destroying the ninja world since you were a child. Your father told you that this is your destiny, and you are destined to be the man who will destroy the ninja world. Ninjutsu power add 1000%. The power of magic add 1000%. Physical power add 1000%. Comes with, Ninja World Destroyer. Ninja World Destroyer, destroy the ninja world, and the attributes of this entry will be increased tenfold. Look at the properties of this last entry. Ryosuke Yagami didn't know what to say for a moment. Is it strong? Of course it's strong. 3 1000% bonuses, and they are all useful attributes, all focused on attack. But what is the status of this final Ninja World Destroyer passive? Destroy Ninja? And the entry attributes are increased tenfold? Are you trying to tempt me with this? I'm going to destroy the ninja world when I'm full. Ryosuke Yagami shook his head, quite speechless. However, even if we ignore the last incidental ability, the first three attributes alone are enough to make this entry one of the many golden ones of Ryosuke Yagami. Dia, among the top entries exists. I haven't seen any bonus entries for magic for so long, but today there are actually two. Ryosuke Yagami also sighed with a smile. Two 1000% magic power bonuses directly increase the power of magic by 20 times. Now, the power of magic used by Ryosuke Yagami is 28 times S bonus. Any of these magical techniques is a power that can destroy the heaven and the earth. However, if we fight like this, will the ninja world really be destroyed in the end? Ryosuke Yagami suddenly thought of a question. It's like the ninjutsu of the Great Spiral Ring. A normal Great Spiral Ring is enough to easily destroy everything within a diameter of more than 10 kilometers. And if you use senjutsu to check Karate, if it becomes immortal technique Big Spiral will you, its power must be several times or even more than before. If you add the 28 times of the fairy magic power bonus of the entry, that immortal technique. Big Spiral Ring you, if it goes down, will half of the ninja world be wiped out? This is not a deliberate exaggeration by Ryosuke Yagami. If the power and range are also increased simultaneously, then it can really be wiped out with one blow. Half of the ninja world. If this happened twice, the entire ninja world would be gone. This. Ryosuke Yagami was a little scared by his own power. How will he use these large-scale attack techniques in the future? How many rounds will it take before the ninja world is gone? So is he killing the enemy? Or are you bombing your hometown? No, that's not how things work out. What the entry improves is the power of magic, not its range. In other words, the power is increased hundreds of times, and the range is also increased hundreds of times. Yagami Ryosuke thought to himself, but if he didn't really try it, he would really feel a little unsure. How about giving it a try? Ryosuke Yagami thought, anyway, he has the ability of Hirizaka Yomi. he can be teleported directly to a different space. Then try the power of these magical arts in a different space. Is the damage range so exaggerated? Degree. Yes, you will know after you try it. Ryosuke Yagami clapped his hands and immediately decided to go to a different space to try it first to see the effect. If the scope is really too large, then he will try his best not to use such large-scale magic in the future and use concentrated ones instead. Wouldn't it be enough to destroy one point of magic? Or you could improve it and control the range within a certain range. That's also possible. Equip the entry Ninja World Destroyer. Ryosuke Yagami opens Hirazaka, and travels directly. We arrived in an unknown and desolate space. This should be a certain planet. Everything we could see was a vast expanse of red land, with more than 10 levels of strong winds hanging in the sky, and terrible acid rain still falling in some places. The environment of the entire planet was completely different. Suitable for the reproduction of life. Therefore, to read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. There is not even half a life on this planet. Let alone any intelligent creatures. It is even more impossible to exist. Yes, that's it. Ryosuke Yagami is quite satisfied with this place. This time he wanted to test the destructive range of the magic. Naturally, he wanted to choose a place that was as desolate as possible. Otherwise, he would be killed if he used magic alone. Countless lives? A planet with no life like this would be perfect. Immortal mode, on. Ryosuke Yagami flew into the air and turned on the Sage mode. The Sage chakra in his body gathered in his hand and formed a dark ball. Immortal method. Big spiral wheel. Wah! The black ball, with a white star ring, flew tens of thousands of meters away in an instant, and then crashed onto a mountain thousands of meters high. The next second, a scorching white light was like a small star. The sun rises like the sun. Immediately afterwards, a devastating explosion destroyed the entire mountain thousands of meters high. A large area of the ground around the mountain also fell apart. The whole world seemed to be plunged into a doomsday-like scene. It took 6 full months. In 7 minutes, the dust fell to the ground. Ryosuke Yagami was flying in the sky and down to the earth at his feet. In the meantime, a huge crater with a diameter of more than 50 or 60 kilometers appeared on the ground that was originally thousands of miles away. In the huge around the pit, the earth collapsed, opening countless cracks like winding dragons. Some cracks were even hundreds of meters wide, and looking down, you could see a bottomless black abyss. The central damage range is 50 or 60 kilometers, and the damage range caused by the shock wave exceeds 200 to 300 kilometers. Ryosuke Yagami quickly obtained a set of data through naked eye observation. The scope of the damage was indeed not so large as to directly wipe out half of the ninja world. It was indeed what Ryosuke Yagami had judged before. The destructive range of magic will not increase exponentially like the power. After all, the farther the explosion range is, the energy consumed will continue to increase exponentially. It is impossible to increase the explosion power 10 times and the impact range 10 times. It's not calculated like this. But even so, the scope is huge enough to be astonishing. However, most of the 5 major countries in the ninja world are vast and sparsely populated. To put it bluntly, there are many more places without people than places with people. For example, Fire the country covers an area of nearly 9 million square kilometers, but has a population of only 300–400 million. It is obviously vast and sparsely populated. If such an explosion occurs in a sparsely populated place, it may not cause a large number of casualties. But if it occurs in a sparsely populated area, some densely populated places, such as large cities, then with one magic spell, the entire city, together with a large area around it, will be razed to the ground. The casualties will be gone. In fact, it's okay, but it can't be used on the battlefield with teammates, otherwise it will kill you as well. Ryosuke Yagamai muttered. The scope of damage is a little smaller than he thought. Of course, it may be that the area he is testing now has many mountains, and these mountains block most of the explosion power. If it is on a plain, the range may be larger. But it will not exceed twice this. Within the acceptable range. The destructive range of the immortal technique. The Great Spiral Will is basically the one with the largest destructive range among the many immortal techniques I have mastered so far. If even its scope of destruction can be controlled to this extent, it would not be such an exaggeration to say that it would destroy the ninja world. However, if you use such a large-scale number as little as possible, it will be troublesome if it affects your own people. Moreover, in terms of single-target lethality, a technique that concentrates its power on one point is more powerful. About this, Yagamai Ryosuke can give you the most intuitive example. For example, the Golden Will Reincarnation Blast of the Tsenjikangan. Why can the Golden Will Reincarnation Blast cut through the moon? It's because its power is concentrated in a small area. So it has extremely strong penetrating power, which can directly penetrate the entire moon and cut it open. Of course, large-scale magic also has its advantages. For example, when dealing with some large targets, or when dealing with a large number of enemies, it is the turn of this large-scale technique to appear. Another ability of the Tsenjikangan, the Jinrinbakasei explosion, is a technique with a huge killing range. Otherwise, the Tsenjikangan is what about the eye born of destruction and destruction? Its abilities are almost all offensive. Unlike the reincarnation eye, which has a lot of fancy abilities. Attack, defense, auxiliary, all kinds of abilities are available. And when it comes to the Tsenjikangan, all the bells and whistles are gone. Just focus all the attributes on attack. Be more focused, so in terms of attack, the Tsenjikangan is stronger than the Rinnegan. Not to mention, the Rinnegan is in its Sutsuki within the clan, it's like cabbage on the roadside, everyone has it. But the reincarnation eye is different. This eye, even within the Itsutsuki clan, is extremely rare. After all, most of the Itsutsuki clan has it Byakugan. But their Byakugan has not evolved to the level of the reincarnated eye. Don't they want to? Obviously not. That's because they can't evolve. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 196. Half an hour later, Ryosuke Yagamai returned to the ninja world through Hirazaka. In the past half hour, he tested the effects of various senjutsu and other large-scale ninjutsu on that desolate planet. The final conclusion is the same as before. Don't use this type of technique when teammates are around. But if you are the only one and everyone else is your enemy, then use it casually. Akatsuki Organization Base. In the room, Suzuki was carving a piece of wood with a kunao. I saw the kunao in his hand cutting the surface of the wood quickly, and a lot of wood chips flew away. Soon, this piece of wood turned into a lifelike statue. "Mom, are you okay in the Pure Land?" Suzuki looked at the statue in his hand, and then placed it on his bedside table. There were already several similar statues on the bedside table. There were those of Suzuki's father, Uchiha Fugaku, and his friend Uzumaki Naruto. At the same time, there are also some Uchiha clan members who are more impressive in Suzuki's memory. A dozen statues are placed on the bedside table. These were carved by Suzuki himself during this period. Dong dong dong. "Suzuki, are you in there? Are you there? Are you there? Are you there?" There was a knock on the door, followed by a noisy voice. Suzuki frowned, knowing that it was Afe who came again. "Looking for me?" Suzuki opened the door and looked at Afe outside. In half a year, Suzuki completely adapted to life in the Akatsuki organization. Now, like Afe, he is an intern of the Akatsuki organization. As long as a formal member dies, he can just take the position. Of course, it could also be Fei. But if two of them die, both of them can become full-timers. But Sasuke doesn't care too much about whether he can become full-timers. What he cares more about is his own. When will his strength reach the cage level? When will he awaken the Mangekyo? When will he be able to kill the beast Uchiha Itachi? In the past 6 months, under the guidance of his teacher, Sasuke's strength has been greatly improved compared to half a year ago. Now even if he doesn't rely on the Thunder Release Kirin move, he can kill the elite Jonin relatively easily. In the teacher's evaluation, he already has the strength of the quasi-cage level. What is the quasi-cage level? The teacher said, quasi-cage level, it's almost like a special Jounin, that is, a ninja who has reached the shadow level in one aspect, but remains at the elite Jounin level in other aspects. For example, Sasuke, his Thunderbolt lethality has reached the shadow level. But in other aspects, he is just a shadow level. Elite Jonin level, although this strength is not weak. But it is not enough for him to kill Uchiha Itachi. Avenge his parents and clan members. Sasuke, a new mission has come. This time your teacher asked you to go with me, but he didn't go. A face stood at the door, and while talking, he looked into the room, as if Sasuke was hiding someone in the room. Sasuke said with a dark face, I know, and there is no one hiding in my room. Wasn't that the case last time? You talked nonsense in front of the teacher, saying that I was hiding a woman in the room. Ah! Do you understand? Afei said subconsciously. Then he quickly covered his mouth and shook his head crazily. No, not me. Sasuke slammed the door with a dark face. The door panel almost hit Afei's head. Call me again after departure. Sasuke's angry voice came from inside the door. Ah! Ah! Did I make Sasuke angry? It's terrible now. Afei stood at the door, swaying like a psycho. In the room, Sasuke returned to the bed and sat down, continuing to look at the wooden sculptures on the bedside table. In the Sound Ninja Village, in the underground laboratory. His hands have not yet recovered. Orochimaru, wearing a white coat, was studying something. At this moment, a sound of footsteps came from outside. As the door of the laboratory opened, Yakushi Kabuto walked in from the outside. Lord Orochimaru, we found it? Yakushi Kabuto stepped forward and said. Oh, Orochimaru put down the thing in his hand. After several improvements, his hand had turned into a pair of glove-like boosters that reflected the metallic luster under the light. He turned to look at Yakushi Kabuto. Where? In the kingdom of Uzumaki, in the former Namen Hall of the Uzumaki clan. Yakushi Kabuto said quickly. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes, nodded and said, Kabuto, you can go out with me later. Okay, Lord Orochimaru. Yakushi Kabuto nodded. He knew where Orochimaru-sama was going. For more than half a year, Orochimaru has been studying how to heal his hands. He studied for a long time, and finally found that only by taking back his soul from the god of death can he be healed. His hands recovered. So he began to study the corpse seal and the origin of the sealing technique. In the end, he found some information about the death mask and information about the death ritual. So he sent Yakushi Kabuto to find the death mask. The whereabouts of. Finally, there is news from Kabuto Yakushi. This makes Orochimaru very happy in his heart. Although he can use these hands while wearing this booster, after all, he is not as flexible as his original one. No matter in battle, still engaged in research and invention. There will always be some inflexibility. So, it is best to restore these hands. By the way, how is the investigation going on Uchiha Sasuke? Orochimaru suddenly asked Yakushi Kabuto, who turned to leave. Ah! Yakushi Kabuto was stunned for a moment, and then quickly replied, well, Uchiha Sasuke spends most of his time at the base of the Akatsuki organization. Our people cannot get close to a Megakure village, but he occasionally comes out to perform some tasks. But every time there was that Uchiha Menma beside him. Uchiha Menma. As soon as he heard this name, Orochimaru couldn't help but grit his teeth. This bastard, after taking his own things, he even robbed Uchiha Sasuke of his container with him. This is simply unforgivable. If Orochimaru hadn't known that he couldn't defeat the opponent, he would have come to settle the score. But now, forget it, it's better to recover these hands first. As for Sasuke? Just leave it with him for the time being. When his body can be reincarnated again, he will personally go and capture Sasuke. As long as he reincarnates quickly enough and then hides, even Menma Uchiha won't be able to find him. Menma Uchiha, I know your secret. Orochimaru said with a sneer. Others don't know, but how could Orochimaru not know? This Uchiha Menma, and Konoha's Yagami Ryuzuke, the two of them have definitely known each other for a long time, and at least they are cooperation. The last time I heard that Uchiha Sasuke was taken away from Konoha by Uchiha Menma, he also broke out a big battle with Yagami Ryuzuke, and the fight was very dark. If anyone else is suspicious, please report it. The strength of both sides was revealed. Orochimaru suspected that these two people were simply cheating. However, with this little handle, it could not threaten Menma Uchiha or Ryuzuke Yagami. What if these two were angered? Nowadays, Orochimaru is the most powerful being in the ninja world. Orochimaru can't guarantee whether he can survive. So, he would not reveal this information unless absolutely necessary. 2 days later. Konoha. Xionglin's house. In the bedroom. Ryusuke Yagami woke up from a deep sleep. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. He glanced at Xionglan, who was curled up in his arms, already awake but pretending to be asleep, and smiled. Get up, don't stay in bed. He pinched Xiangren's nose, and the latter also opened his eyes and looked at Yagami Ryusuke. No, I still want to hold you and sleep a little longer. Xionglan said coquettishly. Just for a while, okay. She said with a finger deep inside. Okay, just for a while. Ryusuke Yagami smiled and shook his head, but he still agreed softly. Half an hour later. Ryusuke Yagami felt that this moment was a little too long. It's been half an hour. Get up quickly. Have you forgotten what day it is? Ryusuke Yagami said. What day is it today? Xiangren thought for a while, then suddenly slapped her forehead and remembered. Today is the day she joins the new team. As a genin of Konoha, Xiangren has always been executing some tasks alone. D-level missions and the like. Or going to Konoha Hospital to help. But this is not a problem, so the higher UPS have been arranging a suitable team for her. And today is the day when Xionglan officially joins the new team. I don't know what kind of people my teammates are. Are they easy to get along with? Xiangren thought with some anticipation. So, the two quickly got up, washed up, and went downstairs to have breakfast. Then Yagami Ryuzuke went to the training ground to exercise. Xiangren ran to the team's gathering place to meet the two teammates met in the central square of Konoha. There was a statue standing here. It was none other than the statue of Ryusuke Yagami. The rock statue more than 10 meters high has become a landmark building of Konoha. At this time, beside the fountain under the statue, a man and a woman were sitting on the left and right, neither of them paying attention to each other. At this moment, Xionglan ran over from a distance. Sorry, I'm not late, am I? Xianglan looked at the time. In fact, there were still more than 10 minutes left before the agreed 9 o'clock. However, her two teammates obviously came earlier than her. Xionglan, it turns out that the new teammate is you. When Xiao Ying saw Xiangren, she quickly stood up with a smile and went to meet him. She and Xiangren also knew each other. The relationship couldn't be said to be very good, but at least it wasn't bad. After all, they were both girls, so they could talk. It wasn't her. Just like Ino. When Sakura arrived just now, she found that an unknown boy was already here, so she took the initiative to say hello to him, but the other party just nodded coldly. This made Sakura feel a little uncomfortable. So there was after seeing the scene that Xiangren saw just now. Neither of them paid any attention to the other. Now that Xiangren is here, Sakura finally has someone to talk to. And although Xiangren is the one who always ignores Yagami Ryusuke's girlfriend, but she has a very good personality. Sakura feels that if the two of them are in the same team, they should be able to cooperate well. Sakura, are you my new teammate? Xianglin secretly breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the familiar Xiao Ying. It's good to have someone he knows in the team. Yeah, I didn't expect the two of us to be on the same team. Sakura smiled and nodded. At this time, Xianglin turned to look at the boy who was sitting there and was silent. He is? Xianglin asked. Xiao Ying curled her lips and said, he is also a new teammate, but this person is cold and doesn't like to talk to others. Speaking of being cold and not very communicative, Sakura suddenly thought of Suzuki again. She couldn't help but feel sad in her heart. Suzuki had left Konoha for more than half a year. I thought they were still in the same team, but Suzuki, when she left, she just said goodbye to Naruto and didn't care about her at all. This made Sakura very sad. So, I don't know who our leading teacher is. Hearing that Sakura said that the other party didn't like to talk, Xianglin didn't take the initiative to say hello. Anyway, as long as there is one teammate in the team who can talk, it is enough. There is no need for so many people. I don't know, I hope it's a girl too. Sakura said. The seventh team she was originally in was automatically disbanded due to the departure of Suzuki and Naruto. Now Kakashi is also a shadow-level powerhouse. There are more important tasks for him in the village. Naturally, he will not be allowed to take a student like Sakura out to run some C-level or D-level tasks. Isn't that a waste? So, the new 7th class will have a new leader. Just not, do you know who it could be? Sakura and Xianglin were both guessing. At this moment, you all came quite early. A voice suddenly came from behind. Sakura and Xianglin turned around and saw a female ninja dressed as a jonin looking at the three of them with a smile. Sister Xian. Xianglin's eyes lit up and she ran over happily. Xianglin, I will be your teacher from now on. Uzuki Xian said with a smile. She had recently quit the Umbu and obtained the official title of Jounin. Then she was arranged to lead the new 7th team. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 197. I didn't expect Sister Xian to be our leading Jounin. This is great. Xiangren was very happy. She didn't expect that in addition to the familiar Sakura in the team, the leading Jounin was actually one of her own, Uzuki Xian. This made Xiangren even more happy than when she saw Sakura. Sakura, let me introduce to you, this is Sister Uyuki Xian. Xianglin didn't forget about Xiao Ying at this time. He called her over and introduced her. Hello, Teacher Xian. Sakura nodded obediently and said hello. Ah, hello. Mao Yu Xian smiled and nodded, then called all three people over. Okay, we will be in the same class from now on. Let me introduce myself first, and then the three of you will also introduce yourselves from left to right. My name is Uzuki Yujeo, a Jounin of Konoha. My hobby is flower viewing. My favorite food is breakfast cooked by someone. If I dream, I won't say any more. Uzuki Xian introduced herself, and then looked at Xiangren who was standing on the left. Xiangren looked at it and said loudly, my name is Uzumaki Kaorin, a genin of Konoha. My hobby is collecting perfume, and my favorite food is Ryasuke. I made pork cutlet rice and my dream is to become Ryasuke's bride in the future. Uzuki Zen glanced at her with a smile. In fact, her dream is also to become Yagami Ryasuke's bride, but it is different from Xiangrin, who everyone knows as Yagami Ryasuke's little girlfriend. Uzuki Zen does not. She made her relationship with Ryasuke Yagami public. And there was a tacit understanding between the two that they never discussed this topic. Uzuki Yojeo felt that she was not ready yet. Ryasuke Yagami respected her thoughts. My name is Harano Sakura, a genin of Konoha. My 203 hobby is studying medical ninjutsu. My favorite food is bitter tea. My dream is to get Sasuke back one day. Sakura has changed a lot in the past 6 months. Not only has she grown taller, but more importantly, her mentality has changed a lot compared to more than half a year ago. She has grown a lot psychologically. Recently, she has been studying medical ninjutsu, and occasionally goes to Konoha Hospital to help. She and Xiangrin only got along when they helped out at Konoha Hospital. As for why she likes to drink bitter tea? That's because Sakura felt that the bitterness in her heart was more bitter than bitter tea. Only drinking bitter tea could make her feel better and not miss Sasuke so much. Sakura and Xiangrin had finished introducing themselves. Then the only thing left was that the boy I haven't spoken to yet. My name is Sai, I used to work in the roots, and now I am a Konoha genin. My hobbies are painting and jutsu, and my favorite food is tofu. If you dream, I want to find my own way of tolerance. The boy, Sai, said. A ninja at heart. Uzuki Zen nodded, but she didn't discriminate against Sa because he came from the root. After all, the root has been disbanded now. How long has Shimura Danzo been dead? Moreover, Sa is still so young, so he should obviously be the kind of person who is favored by the Shimura Danzo. Hidden by the genius ninja who snuck into Neb. The bad things Neb did in the past probably have nothing to do with Sai at such a young age. Very good. Now that everyone has introduced themselves, we will be partners in the same class from now on. I will treat everyone to dinner at noon today, and then in the afternoon we will go to the training ground to learn about our respective strengths. If you want to officially carry out the mission, just wait until tomorrow. Uzuki Zen said. Hearing this, Xiangrin and the others didn't have any objections. Deep in the number 1 training ground, by the water pool, Yagami Ryasuke, who was practicing using the improved version of Raiten Chakra mode, suddenly stopped. This feeling. Is the fetal movement over? He immediately dispersed the thousands of thunders on his body, then put down the big iron ball raised above his head and put it aside. A moment later, Ryasuke Yagami, who had washed away all the sweat, put on his clothes, and then condensed in front of him a piece of ice crystal appeared to make it easier to illuminate his eyes. Under the reflection of the ice crystal, Yagami Ryasuke saw that the eyes of his eyes had changed from the original red to a pair of light blue eyes. In the center of the light blue eyes, a pattern like a blooming lotus flower shines with bursts of light. Is this the reincarnation eye? Yagami Ryasuke felt the huge pupil power contained in his eyes. At the same time, the light of the reincarnation eye is also different from the previous reincarnation eye, giving people a feeling of sanctity and peace. The samsara eye gives people a feeling of majesty and inviolability. Very strong. And it doesn't feel like it's the limit yet. Ryasuke Yagami touched these eyes and suddenly opened a red portal at his feet. The next second, his figure disappeared from the place. When he reappeared, he had already arrived at the deserted place where he tested the magic technique last time. On the planet. Come try the power of the reincarnation eye. The moment Ryasuke Yagami arrived here, he entered the Tensagen chakra mode. His body was enveloped by a blue Tensagen chakra, like a blue flame, burning blazingly on his body. Immediately, his heart with the thought, several Deo-seeking jade with blue energy on the black surface appeared above the palm of the hand. As Yagamai Ryuzyuk shouted, Yinlun's life explodes. Rumble. The terrifying silver tornado was released as the Taoist jade rotated, and instantly enveloped hundreds of kilometers in front of Ryuzyuk Yagamai. Amid the roar, the entire surface of the desolate planet was destroyed. It was a devastating blow. After a moment, the silver tornado dispersed, revealing the land that had been destroyed. A huge fan-shaped area, covering an area of 200 to 300 kilometers, was affected. If this is used in the ninja world, I am afraid that a small country can be destroyed easily. It's really an astonishing devastation. The key is that it doesn't consume much pupil power and chakra. Ryuzyuk Yagamai said to himself. Then he tested the power of the Golden Wheel reincarnation blast again. With a wave of his hand, the blue jade for seeking enlightenment from before was instantly transformed into a handle in Ryuzyuk Yagamai's hands. A lightsaber exuding dazzling golden light. At the tip of the lightsaber, a ray of golden light surged wildly, breaking through the planet's atmosphere and entering the vacuum of the universe. Then, Ryuzyuk Yagamai slashed with his sword. Golden Wheel reincarnation explodes. Rumble. The golden lightsaber split open the earth in an instant, extending all the way and cutting through half of the planet. The terrifying power reached deep into the center of the earth, causing volcanic eruptions on the surface of countless planets. The entire continental plate is collapsing and shifting. The terrifying apocalyptic scene is even more shocking. This is because the desolate planet under your feet is so big. Otherwise, what Ryuzyuk Yagamai just said, the Golden Wheel reincarnation explosion, was enough to cut open the entire planet. It directly caused the entire planet to explode instantly. The lightsaber extends for more than 30,000 kilometers. This range should be the longest attack range among all the abilities I currently possess. Ryuzyuk Yagamai looked at the apocalyptic scene in front of him. Then a red portal appeared under his feet. He used the power of Hirazaka and disappeared directly on this desolate planet. Returning to Konoha, Ryuzyuk Yagamai continued the exercise that was interrupted before. At noon, Hanabi came here again. I don't know how worried Hinata and Hinata are about the safety of their little daughter. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. Didn't you send a ninja to protect you along the way? Brother-in-law. Hanabi trotted over, holding a big lunchbox in her hand. Brother-in-law, this is a lunchbox that my sister and I made for you. Please try it quickly and see if it tastes good. Hanabi picked up the lunchbox in her hand like a treasure, and pulled Yagamai Ryuzyuk to let him try it. Okay, let me try it. Ryuzyuk Yagamai was pulled over by the little girl and sat down. Then he opened the lunchbox, which was full of various foods. Brother-in-law, please try this fried pork chop first. I fried it myself. Hanabi looked at him expectantly. Yagamai Ryuzyuk picked up the chopsticks and picked up a piece of golden fried pork cutlet and put it into his mouth. The fried pork cutlet was crispy and juicy. Put it in your mouth and chew it carefully. It tastes really good. Well, this tonkatsu is delicious and the fireworks are awesome. Ryuzyuk Yagamai smiled and rubbed the little girl's head. Hanabi also smiled and narrowed her eyes with a happy expression. Come, let's eat together. Ryuzyuk Yagamai picked up Hanabi and put it on his lap, and then the two of them enjoyed the bento together. After all, Hanabi was still a child and didn't eat much. She was full without eating much. So most of the bento was actually they were all eaten by Ryuzyuk Yagamai. After eating the bento, Ryuzyuk Yagamai took Hanabi to the village for a walk and bought some snacks for her. Then look at it was almost time to go back to the training ground and continue the afternoon exercise. While Ryuzyuk Yagamai was training, Hanabi stood aside and practiced her own soft fist. Even though Hanabi is young, she can already perform the 8 trigrams and 16 palms with Rokuan. His strength has reached genin level. In their class, Hanabi is the well-deserved top student. He has always been a role model for other students in the class to follow. In the evening, Ryosuke Yagamai called Hinata, Ino, and the others. Everyone went to Akimika's barbecue restaurant for dinner. There are quite a few people gathering for dinner tonight. But except for Ryosuke Yagamai, everyone else is a girl. And they are all his girlfriends. If it were another person, I'm afraid it wouldn't be Shurafield. But Ryosuke Yagamai is magically able to make them tolerate each other's existence. Certainly. This is also inseparable from the fact that there is no strictly monogamous relationship in the ninja world. After all, it is very common for a daimyo to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. As the strongest person in the ninja world, Yagamai Ryosuke is not as good as a mere daimyo. During the dinner, Ryosuke Yagamai also asks Xianglin how she was doing with the new team she joined today. As a result, Xiangling told him that the leading jounin of their new 7th team was actually Xian. This made Ryosuke Yagamai look at Xian sitting beside him in surprise. "Are you surprised?" 11 Yan said with a smile. Ryosuke Yagamai nodded and said a little bit, "When did you leave Umbu?" "In fact, just the past few days." Xian said. "The past few days? You were so good at hiding it." Ryosuke Yagamai smiled and shook his head. Obviously Xian was hiding it from him on purpose and wanted to give him a surprise. The dinner was over. It was already past 10 o'clock in the evening. Xiangren and the younger ones went home to rest. After all, they still have things to do tomorrow. Originally, Yagamai Ryosuke was planning to go to Yoi Kurene's house to sleep for a night. But in the end, Yoi Kurene pushed her to Anko's side. "I can't do it at this time." Yoi Kurene said, a little embarrassed. Ryosuke Yagamai understood. It was a relative coming. This is troublesome for women. Relatives always come once a month. If they don't come, they won't feel at ease. Are you wondering if there is something wrong with your health? Fortunately, the days when Kurene and Anko visit relatives are staggered. If they were together, Ryosuke Yagamai might have to sleep alone tonight. For him who eats marrow and knows taste, 5.6, let him sleep alone tonight. Unless he really has no interest today. Otherwise, how uncomfortable would it be? The next day, Ryosuke Yagamai got up refreshed after a good night's sleep. Help is still there. After sleeping, Hongdu covered himself with a blanket. He turned around and went to the bathroom to wash up. By the way, I forgot to try yesterday to see what would happen if I opened the reincarnation eye and the reincarnation eye at the same time. Ryosuke Yagamai, who was brushing his teeth, suddenly thought. No wonder he always felt that he had forgotten something yesterday. It turned out that he had forgotten this. So, Ryosuke Yagamai quickly finished brushing his teeth, and then looked at the mirror in front of him. First, with the reincarnation eye opened, red light is reflected in the mirror. Then, Ryosuke Yagamai opened the reincarnated eye again. A touch of blue blooms in the eyes. At this time, Ryosuke Yagamai's eyes suddenly turned into a pattern that was completely different from the Rinnegan and Tsangshengan. The red eyes and black circles are still there, but a black dot appears in the middle of the eye, something like a pupil. And there are patterns of lotus petals appearing around the pupils. This is clearly the pattern of the Tenseigan. Moreover, on the innermost circle of the black circle, there are 3 black Megatama. 3 Megatama Samsara eyes. This word came to Ryosuke Yagamai's mind subconsciously. But soon, Ryosuke Yagamai realized that this was not the 3 Megatama reincarnation eye, but the 3 Megatama reincarnation eye. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 198. In the mirror, red eyes exude a faint light. The 3 black Megatama in the inner circle slowly rotated as the light was released, and a surging pupil power burst out from these eyes. Boom! The originally sunny sky suddenly burst into thunder and lightning. The villagers in Konoha raised their heads and looked at the sky curiously. Strangeness. Is it going to rain? It was sunny just now, why is it going to rain? The villagers complained and ran quickly towards their homes. After all, if they don't run back, it will rain soon. This kind of sudden heavy rain must be very powerful. It will inevitably happen by then. I was soaked like a drowned rat. However, the dense dark clouds in the sky only lasted for more than 10 seconds, and were slowly blown away by a gust of wind. The original lightning and thunder also disappeared. The sky once again returned to its previous state. Clear sky. Damn it! For God's sake, are you kidding me? Why doesn't it rain again? What are you doing? People's complaints can be heard everywhere in the village. As the initiator of all this, Yagami Ryusuke himself has already closed the fused 3 Megatama reincarnation eyes at this time. He tried it, even if after fusion, the separate reincarnation and samsara eyes can still be used normally. Just like although his Sharingan has evolved into the samsara eye, it can still regress back to the state of the Sharingan. And the 3 Megatama samsara reincarnation eye, 2 supreme pupil techniques need to be activated at the same time, and then they can merge with each other to produce qualitative changes. In the state of the 3 Megatama reincarnation eyes, Yagami Ryusuke's pupil power will instantly increase 20 times. At the same time, Yagami Ryusuke also feels these eyes seem to be gestating some kind of extremely powerful pupil technique. It's just that the process of gestation seems a bit slow. I don't know how long it will take for the gestation to be successful. But no matter what, even without this pupil technique, these 3 Megatama, the power of the Rinnegan is also extremely terrifying. It directly pushes Yagami Ryusuke's strength to a new level. Peak of the 6 paths? No. Yagami Ryusuke feels as if he has surpassed the level of the peak of 6 paths. But there is no general qualitative change. It should be somewhere between the two, at a more embarrassing level. But if the pupil technique of his 3 Megatama reincarnation eyes is completed, it is really possible for Yagami Ryusuke to attack the level above the 6th level. Maybe, that is the level where the peak powerhouse of the Otsutsuki clan is. In the morning, after having breakfast at Anko's house, Yagami Ryusuke sat for a while, holding Anko in his arms. I watched a movie that is said to be very popular recently. But that's all the movies about the ninja world. Anko watched it very seriously. She was almost immersed in the plot, but for Ryusuke Yagami, she had experienced the past life. In the film industry, I really don't have much appetite to watch such shoddy films. Fortunately, the movie is not long. It is only an hour and 10 minutes. After the movie was finished, Yagami Ryusuke also left Hongdu's house. Not far after leaving the house, he used the power of Hirazaka Yomi to instantly disappear into the ninja world. On a certain planet, Ryusuke Yagami's figure appeared in a snow field. The sky here is blue and there is fresh air. Perception: the environment is similar to that of the ninja world. Even the temperature in the snow field is relatively low. But for Ryusuke Yagami, who has long been immune to the cold and heat, this low temperature is nothing. Come try the power of the fused 3 Megatama reincarnation eyes. Ryusuke Yagami plans to test here whether the fused eyes have any amplifying effect on the original eye skills. In fact, Ryusuke Yagami thinks there must be. I just don't know the specific effect. How many times can it be increased? With this idea in mind, Ryusuke Yagami came here. Open the Rinnegan eye. Yagami Ryusuke opened the Rinnegan eye first. When he was about to open the reincarnation eye, suddenly this piece of land under his feet, suddenly the snow ground trembled violently. There was also a loud rumbling sound from the snow-capped mountains in the distance. Along with countless snows turning into avalanches, there was a loud bang. The entire snow-capped mountains exploded directly. Yagami Ryusuke looked at the scene with a surprised expression. I don't understand how a perfectly snow-capped mountain could suddenly explode. At this time, A towering tree with a strange appearance suddenly rose from the bottom of the exploding snow mountain. In just the blink of an eye, this huge strange tree broke through the 10,000-meter cloud layer and grew directly to the sky 10,000 meters high. Middle. Ryosuke Yagamai opened his eyes wide and watched the scene happening in front of him with an expression of disbelief. At the same time, at the top of this strange tree, two figures suddenly appeared. The two men were all in white and wore white clothes with Magatama patterns painted on them. At this time, one of them reached out and picked off a blood-red fruit at the top of the strange tree. The fruit looks like a gem, bright red and very beautiful. The man who picked the fruit opened his mouth and swallowed the fruit directly. Then a terrifying force burst out from the man's body. Boom! Thousands of meters high in the sky, dark clouds cover the sky, and there are lightning and thunder, as if a heavy rain is coming. This is sacred tree. Ryosuke Yagamai suddenly realized that this strange tree that suddenly rose from the ground was probably the sacred tree of the Itsutsuki clan. And the two white figures that just appeared. Not surprisingly, they should be the Itsutsuki clan of members. So, did he accidentally enter a planet where the Itsutsuki clan planted a sacred tree? Ryosuke Yagamai thought to himself. Plant a sacred tree and swallow its fruit. This has always been the custom of the Itsutsuki clan. Generally, the Itsutsuki clan will be in groups of two, with one person as the leader and one as the assistant. Just like the Hyuga family in Konoha is divided into main family and branch family. The Itsutsuki clan is similar. It's just that they don't have such a thing as a caged bird. After all, for the Itsutsuki clan, whose strength starts at the 6th level, what is the caged bird? Can that affect them? Do not make jokes. Moreover, the clan of the Itsutsuki clan has absolute self-confidence and can suppress the members of the branch family, and the branch members of the Itsutsuki clan are indeed loyal to the members of the clan. Except Kaguya Itsutsuki. This woman almost killed Itsutsuki Ishiki of the clan. He also stole the fruit of Itsutsuki Ishiki's sacred tree. So is this the scene where the Itsutsuki clan planted a sacred tree? Ryosuke Yagamai thought. To read cool novels, go to Fila Novel Network. At this moment. Brush. A black portal suddenly opened not far in front of Ryosuke Yagamai. Follow. The two members of the Itsutsuki clan who had just appeared at the top of the sacred tree also came to him. Yomi Hirazan. Yagamai Ryosuke recognized that the other party's move was the Yomi Hirazan ability that he also possessed. But this teleportation, the door opened much slower than him. It closed slowly too. Oh. I didn't expect that there are still living people on this planet. The two members of the Itsutsuki clan in front of them looked at Ryosuke Yagamai in surprise, as if they were surprised that there was still a living human being on this planet. You know, before this, they had already destroyed the entire planet. Hundreds of millions of living people were sacrificed to the sacred tree. Only then did the sacred tree grow a very full fruit. And Itsutsuki sect member Itsutsuki Kawashiki, who swallowed the fruit of the sacred tree, at this time he also gained far greater power than before. Master Chuanchi, leave this person to me. The tall and thin Itsutsuki Sakurashiki stood up and said to Itsutsuki Kawashiki beside him. As a member of the Itsutsuki branch, Itsutsuki Sakurashiki also has considerable strength. He has a blue, the right eye of the Rinnegan eye is a white eye. After Itsutsuki Sakurashiki, who was nearly 2.5 meters tall, asked Itsutsuki Kawashiki for help and received permission, he instantly turned into a blue lightning and headed towards Yagamai Ryosuke on the opposite side. Coming. Shinra Tianzhang. Ryosuke Yagamai stretched out his hand, and instantly a huge repulsive force hit the incoming lightning. Boom! A flow of energy swept across, and the surrounding snow was torn apart. Ryosuke Yagamai stood where he was. The ground didn't move. Itsutsuki Sakurashiki flew back a distance and stopped in mid-air. Human, Why do you have the reincarnation eye of my Itsutsuki clan? Itsutsuki Sakura style asked. What's your name? Ryusuke Yagamai asked without answering. I am Itsutsuki Sakura Shiki. Itsutsuki Sakura Shiki said loudly. Sakura style. Sakura. Ryusuke Yagamai had a weird expression on his face. You dare. Itsutsuki Sakura Shiki roared angrily. This hateful human being called him Sakura? He is a majestic 8-foot man, and you call me Sakura? The furious Itsutsuki Sakura Shiki didn't want to know why this human being has the reincarnation eye. He roared and raised his hands high, and a blue energy sphere was born in the palm of his hand. Reincarnation Destruction Cannon. He roared, slamming down with both hands. Boom. The blue sphere dragged its long tail towards Ryusuke Yagamai. Ryusuke Yagamai smiled slightly, then stretched out his right hand, and there was a small ball in the palm of his hand. The black hole appears. The High Emperor's spiritual master. Phew. The blue Samsara destruction cannon was instantly absorbed by Yagamai Ryusuke's High Imperial property spirit master. Back to you. Ryusuke Yagamai waved his hand, a bigger and faster reincarnation destruction cannon hit Itsutsuki Sakura style. Boom. A ball of blue flames exploded in the sky. Tens of thousands of meters high in the sky the clouds were shattered. And Itsutsuki Sakura's body was also blasted away heavily, directly hitting an iceberg with a bang. The iceberg was shattered on the spot. The mountain hundreds of meters high turned into a sky. The ice crystals sputtered in all directions to the west like bullets. Ryusuke Yagamai glanced at another member of the Itsutsuki clan. 817 The Itsutsuki Sakura style just now should be a branch member of the Itsutsuki clan. In the duo Zongzi has the status of a subordinate. And this guy he calls Master Sichuan should be a member of the Itsutsuki clan. This guy just swallowed a sacred tree fruit, and the chakra in his body is stronger than that of Yagamai. Ryusuke will have several times more. What's more important is that this Itsutsuki river-style forehead has a golden 9 Magatama Samsara eye. The eye power contained in it even scares Yagamai Ryusuke. This eye power. It is not inferior to the eye power of his fused 3 Magatama reincarnation eyes. You know. Ryusuke Yagamai's eye power also has the bonus of entries. But even so, it is only comparable to this Itsutsuki river style. This guy, very strong. Ryusuke Yagamai narrowed his eyes and thought. Boom. At this time, a loud noise came from the broken iceberg in the distance. Itsutsuki Sakura flew out from the ruins with many broken parts on his body. He twisted his neck, his expression gloomy as if he could drip water. The broken parts of his body were repaired at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, those wounds completely disappeared. The Itsutsuki clan has an immortal physique. However, Ryusuke Yagamai also has one. I don't envy him. Humanity. You wanna die? Itsutsuki Sakura Shiki roared and turned into a blue lightning attack. The next second, Ryusuke Yagamai punched out with a smile, and even punched Itsutsuki Sakura Shiki, who returned to human form from the lightning state. Boom! Two huge forces collided, and the shock wave exploded in all directions. Itsutsuki Kawashiki in the distance watched the scene with interest. He folded his hands and watched as if watching a show, and did not want to step forward to intervene. The meaning of two people fighting. Bang bang bang. In mid-air, Ryusuke Yagamai fought back and forth with the Sakura Itsutsuki for hundreds of rounds. The whole process only takes a second or two. Boom. One punch destroyed half of Itsutsuki Sakura's body, and Yagamai Ryusuke also collected some of Itsutsuki Sakura's tissue cells for use the next time he transforms his talent entries. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 199. The strength of this Itsutsuki Sakura style can also reach the mid-level level among the 6 levels. His strength is only slightly weaker than Ryosuke Yagamai before he opened the Rinnegan Eye. However, compared with today's Ryosuke Yagamai, his strength is much weaker. Even if Ryosuke Yagamai doesn't use the power of the 3 Megatama reincarnation eyes, he is still at the peak of the 6 paths level. And this at Satsuki Sakura's style. She is 2 levels below him, so she is naturally no match for him. Sakura Shiki, who was half battered, quickly recovered. He roared and rushed forward, thunder and lightning flashed between his hands, bursting out with more powerful power. At the same time, his blue reincarnation eye also burst out with powerful pupil power, forming a blue film-like thing, covering at Satsuki Sakura's style full body. Ryosuke Yagamai punched Sakura Shiki with his right hand. The moment the 2 fists collided, Yagamai Ryosuke discovered that the blue membrane on the opponent's body was absorbing the power of his punch, so that the remaining power acted on its Satsuki Sakura's body, and there was no really hurt the other person. That's interesting. Is this your pupil technique? Ryosuke Yagamai kicked the opponent hundreds of meters away, and then asked. Yes, under my sealing technique, your physical skills cannot hurt me at all. Satsuki Sakura said proudly. Sealing technique. What a weird name. However, this eye technique is really useful. It can absorb the power of taijutsu. You know, after the strength reaches the 6th level, ordinary ninjutsu is no longer useful. Even the 6-path senjutsu does not do much harm to the 6-path strong men. Especially for those 6-path strong men who can absorb chakra. For example, Ryosuke Yagamai, the high-ranking spiritual master. Under this move, whether it is ninjutsu or 6-path senjutsu, it will only cause double the damage to himself. But for Ryosuke Yagamai, it has no effect at all. Only taijutsu can truly cause harm to strong men with such abilities. Therefore, many of the Otsutsuki clan have extremely strong taijutsu abilities. For example, the Otsutsuki Sakura style in front of you. Moreover, as a member of the clan, the Otsutsuki clan strong people usually study the ability of chi. It is also jokingly said in the previous life, the so-called tattoo era. The effect of chi is to strengthen a person's strength in all aspects. It is especially obvious for the strengthening of physical skills. Therefore, Otong many members of the Mu clan have extremely powerful physical abilities. The power erupted from each punch and kick is even more powerful than the blood successor snare. Of course, not all members of the Otsutsuki clan have this ability. For example, Otsutsuki Momoshiki would not do it. And Otsutsuki 6th and Otsutsuki Ishiki, who are still in the ninja world, have a very in-depth study of the contract. Otsutsuki Ishiki relies on the power of the contract, even more powerful than Otsutsuki Kagaya at his peak. To be strong, it's a pity that this guy has never found the perfect reincarnation container. Therefore, he cannot exert the power of his powerful bond. And Otsutsuki Sakura Shiki, a member of the Otsutsuki branch, obviously does not understand the power of bond. His physical skills can only be said to be quite good. Barely reaching the level of 6th level, but there is still a long way to go before being powerful. If it were not for the discovery that Ryosuke Yagamai possesses the ability of a high-ranking spiritual master, he would have let Otsutsuki Sakura Shiki if he no longer dares to use any form of energy to attack. What he is best at is actually not fighting with physical skills at all. But there is no way now. The ability of Gao Huangchan Lingzun is really the ability of Tenk and others from the Otsutsuki branch. Member. I haven't learned the power of contract. It's really difficult to face such an opponent. Fortunately, Otsutsuki Sakura's style has a sealing technique called pupil technique. It can create a layer of film to absorb attack power and cover the body. On the surface, this is enough for him to resist Yagamai Ryosuke's physical attacks. However, Otsutsuki Sakura Shiki seems to have made a mistake. Because he was afraid of Yagamai Ryosuke's high imperial spiritual master, he couldn't use chakra form techniques, but Yagamai Ryosuke could. Sage Mode, turn on. The golden Senjutsu chakra on Ryosuke Yagamai's body burst out, and the rising aura blew his hair up. A huge aura erupted from his body. Boom! A circle of golden energy. Ripples spread out. Atsutsuki Sakura subconsciously stepped back for a distance, looking at Yagamai Ryosuke in this state with a look of confusion. Oh! Are there any other abilities? Atsutsuki Mikawa, who had been watching the show in the distance, raised the corner of his mouth and revealed a playful smile. Interesting human being, I hope you can bring me more pleasure. On the other side, Ryosuke Yagamai turned on the Sage Mode, and a black ball formed in his hand. Buzz! A white star ring surrounded the black ball, and Ryosuke Yagamai shouted loudly. Immortal Method! Big Spiral Wheel! Brush! The big black spiral wheel was instantly thrown by Ryosuke Yagamai. The eyes of Sakura Atsutsuki in the distance opened, and he instantly crossed his arms in front of him, trying to resist Yagamai Ryosuke's attack like before. Hit! But the next second, boom dash! A piece of white light rose like a small sun. Atsutsuki Sakurashiki at the center of the explosion was torn to pieces by this terrifying force in an instant. His body. Even though the sealing technique on his body had absorbed part of the damage, the remaining damage still caused Atsutsuki Sakura to be blown to pieces. When the explosion subsided, a 5-6 meter diameter ball appeared on the ground. A huge pit of 10 kilometers. The ice and snow in the distance melted under the scorching high-temperature shock wave, and even countless ice and snow were evaporated, forming thick steam clouds in the sky. Immortal Method. Thunder escapes Kylin. Ryosuke Yagamai held a ball of lightning in his hand, and waved his hand violently as he jumped into the sky. This lightning instantly acted like a beacon, guiding a huge thunder beast Kylin in the sky, roaring attack towards a figure below. The High Emperor's spiritual master. Atsutsuki Mikawa opened his hand, and a small black hole appeared, instantly absorbing the roaring Kirin thunder beast that fell from the sky. Human beings, have a taste of what you are capable of. Roar! The huge Kirin thunder beast rushed out from Atsutsuki Mikawa's hand, roaring and rushing towards Yagamai Ryosuke a few kilometers away. The High Emperor's spiritual master. Ryosuke Yagamai also used this trick. He absorbed the incoming thunder beast Kirin. Kirin! Ryosuke Yagamai pushed his hand, and another larger Kirin attacked Atsutsukigawa style. Atsutsukigawa style. Where are you leaving this Matryoshka doll with me? Atsutsuki Kawashi frowned, and then the golden 9 Magatama Samsara eye at the center of his eyebrows instantly released a golden ray, hitting the charging thunder beast Kirin. Moment. The thunder beast Kylin, which was originally so powerful, was completely annihilated and disappeared. What ability is this? Ryosuke Yagamai observed this Atsutsuki River style in surprise. The opponent is a member of the Atsutsuki clan, and he has also swallowed the fruit of the sacred tree, making him extremely powerful. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. She is even more powerful and difficult to deal with than Atsutsuki Kagaya in her peak state. Moreover, unlike Kagaya Atsutsuki, he has little combat experience and does not understand his own strength. If it is used effectively, it will even be affected by Naruto's reverse harem technique. The Atsutsuki Kawa style in front of me gave Yagamai Ryosuke the impression that her strength was basically the same as him. But what specific abilities does the other party have? But Yagamai Ryosuke didn't know. It's just that he has just used the High Emperor's spiritual master and the golden ray shot from the 9 Magatama reincarnation eyes, these two abilities. There is also the former Yagamai Ryosuke. But the latter. Ryosuke Yagamai hasn't even analyzed what the effect of his ability is. Is it annihilation of chakra energy? Or decomposed chakra energy? But it is definitely not a space-type ability. Ryosuke Yagamai, who has the entry god of space, has a very keen sense of time and space. If the golden ray just now is related to time and space, It's impossible for him not to feel it. Human, you are very powerful, and you also have the power of my Otsutsuki clan. If I guess correctly, you are not a human on this planet, right? Otsutsuki Kawashiki didn't take action immediately. Instead, he looked at Yagami Ryusuke and said with a joking expression. This guy didn't seem to care at all about the death of his companion Otsutsuki Sakurashiki. But thinking about the customs of the Otsutsuki clan, he can even eat his own companions, let alone just watch them die. There is no reaction or he doesn't care, that's normal. Yes, I am indeed not a human being on this planet. Ryusuke Yagami is flying in the air, with golden arrogance rising from his body. If it weren't for the Otsutsuki Kawashiki opposite who is the standard image of the Otsutsuki clan. People who don't know may think that they are on the set of Dragon Ball Next Door. Sure enough, I knew that it was impossible for a creature on such a low-level planet to be as powerful as you. Otsutsuki Kawashiki said. Human, you just killed my subordinate, now I give you a chance to become my new subordinate, I can give you the surname of Otsutsuki. What the hell? Are you trying to recruit me? Yagami Ryusuke couldn't laugh or cry for a while. I didn't expect that Otsutsuki Kawashi would have such an idea. Moreover, your expression of this is my gift to you, what the hell is that expression? Inexplicably, it reminds Ryusuke Yagami of himself. It seems, he was similar to the two Yama people before, right? Ryusuke Yagami immediately shook his head. No no no. How can this be exactly the same? To you two Yama people, that is a real gift and a welfare. But this Otsutsuki River style. He simply feels too good about himself. Shake your head? Are you going to reject me? Otsutsuki Kawashiki frowned, as if he found Ryusuke Yagami's rejection unbelievable. Sorry, I am quite satisfied with my current surname and have no intention of changing it. Ryusuke Yagami said with a cold face. This guy actually wants to recruit him, what a beautiful idea. Don't want to change your last name. Otsutsuki Kawashi nodded and said, then you can continue to call me by your current name. No. Are you unable to understand people or have something wrong with your brain? Didn't I say it bluntly enough? Ryusuke Yagami felt that there might be some problems with this Otsutsuki-gawa style communication ability. Did he not express enough before? Clear. I mean, I have no interest in being a lackey, you know. Ryusuke Yagami said. This time, Otsutsuki Kawashige, Qian Wangzhou, understood. After all, Ryusuke Yagami has already said it so clearly. If you still can't understand, it's really because of your brain. There's a problem. Humans, that's a shame, no one can resist my Otsutsuki River style. As soon as he finished speaking, the figure of Otsutsuki Gawa in the distance instantly disappeared into a black portal. Hirazaka. Yagami. Ryusuke was too familiar with this move. At the same time, he also sensed a burst of sound coming from behind him. The space fluctuates. Death. The 5 fingers of Otsutsuki Kawa's right hand that came out of the black portal spread out, and wisps of golden energy as sharp as a knife burst out from the fingertips, stabbing at the back of Yagami Ryusuke's head like 5 knives. Brush. Ryusuke Yagami's figure disappeared the moment the attack approached. He disappeared into a red portal and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already behind Otsutsuki Kawashiki. His Yomi Hirasaka was more powerful than Otsutsuki Kawashiki's. Fast. Moreover, Otsutsuki Kawashi does not have as keen a sense of time and space as Ryusuke Yagami, so he was hit by his punch and his body spun around and flew out. Brush. Ryusuke. Yagami's figure disappeared again. Yomi Hirasaka's move was something he didn't use when he fought against Otsutsuki Sakurashiki, so Otsutsuki Kawashiki didn't know he knew this move. At this time, Otsutsuki Kawashiki, who was sent flying, also stopped with a frown, twisted around, and punched, blocking Ryosuke Yagami's second attack. I didn't expect that you would also go to Hirazan. Etsutsuki Kawashiki said. I know more abilities. Ryosuke Yagami smiled slightly, and then the figure disappeared again. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 200. In the sky, two figures disappeared and appeared. It even disappeared for a period of time, and it was unknown where it went, and then reappeared on the planet a few minutes later, but it changed several locations back and forth, from the snowy mountains to the rainforest, and from the rainforest to the desert. Because both of them had the ability of a high imperial spirit master, neither one used conventional techniques, but instead fought with physical techniques. The taijutsu of the Itsutsuki River style is far stronger than the previous Itsutsuki Sakura style. Just relying on normal physical skills, his strength can reach the level of the late 6th path level. Each punch and kick contains terrifying power, enough to destroy the world. Some attacks landed on the planet, leaving huge craters like meteorite impacts. In a short period of time, a large number of huge craters appeared on the planet. Like the back of the moon. Ha ha ha. Human being, your physical skills are quite good. It really made me feel a little bit of pleasure. But if that's all, then it's time for this battle to end. Etsutsuki Mikawa made a spinning throw, and hit Yagami Ryosuke hard against a mountain peak. With a loud bang, the entire mountain peak was smashed into pieces. But Yagami Ryosuke himself seemed to be fine and patted his body. Dust, continued to rush forward and fight with Itsutsuki River style. The power of contract. Boom. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted from Itsutsuki's body. On his face and arms, golden tattoo-like textures suddenly appeared. This is the Itsutsuki clan. The power of contract. At this time, Etsutsuki Kawashiki only used 20% of his contract power, but even so, his all-round strength suddenly increased by more than 200%. In an instant, Ryosuke Yagami discovered that Etsutsuki Kawashiki's speed had far surpassed his own. Before he even had time to react, Etsutsuki Kawashiki's elbow instantly broke several ribs in his chest, and then his body flew out like a meteor. Flying after going thousands of meters away, I hit a mountain and stopped hard. Ahem. Ryosuke Yagami coughed and flew up from the rubble. The broken ribs healed in a matter of seconds. Although the injuries on his body did not have any substantial impact on him, the pain just now was really painful. Is this the power of contract? Ryosuke Yagami squinted his eyes, and a blurry figure instantly appeared in front of him, and punched him in the face. Bang! Ryosuke Yagami crossed his arms to block the punch. But the terrifying force directly broke the bones of both his arms. You know, with Ryosuke Yagami's current physique, even if the attack of 6-path Senjutsu directly hit him, it would only be a little skin injury at most. And for an attack that can break his bones and even cause pulverizing fractures, you can imagine how shocking the damage is. Boom! The power of the fist burst through Ryosuke Yagami's body, and it was blasted out for several seconds in an instant. Thousands of meters away, the thick clouds in the sky were directly smashed. For a moment, the sky turned blue. But Yagami Ryosuke was suppressed by Itsutsuki Gawa style, and he withstood hundreds of attacks in just 1 second. All the bones in his body were shattered, and even one of his arms exploded into a bloody mist. Ah! Ryosuke Yagami roared angrily and erupted with terrifying arrogance. In an instant, the Itsutsuki Mikawa in front of him was thrown away. The golden arrogance on his body dissipated, instead, blue energy flames appeared on his body. A pair of blue reincarnation eyes also replaced the original Samsara eye. Tensagen Chakra Mode, open. Worker Soul State, open. Destiny Child State, Open. Yagami Ryusuke opened 3 states in a row. At this time, the strength of the whole body has increased by more than 20 times. The 2 states of Destiny Child and Worker Soul can improve Yagami Ryusuke's strength in all aspects. Adding the 2 together, the increase is a full 800%. In the Tensagen Chakra state, Yagami Ryusuke's all-round strength will also increase by 300%. And this 300% is not an improvement in terms, so it is not an addition to the previous 800%, but a multiplication. Therefore, 3 states Ryusuke Yagami, who had fired continuously, was now 24 times stronger than before. He could suppress him just now, but his speed was so fast that Ryusuke Yagami couldn't effectively block the opponent's attack with the Otsutsuki River style. In an instant, he was suppressed by Yagami Ryusuke in turn. And he was suppressed 6 to 7 times. Die. The blue energy in Ryusuke Yagami's body rose up, turning into a blue light and shadow and instantly blasting away at Otsutsuki Kawa, who had not had time to react. In 1 second, Ryusuke Yagami threw 7,986 punches and 3,884 kicks. The whole body of Otsutsuki Kawashi was beaten to pieces, all the bones were shattered, the flesh and blood were directly separated, and even the internal organs exploded and turned into blood mist. Only Otsutsuki Kawashi's head was preserved under his strict defense. It was considered intact. And Yagami Ryusuke also took the opportunity to take away some of Otsutsuki Kawa's biological tissue cells and put them into the system's biopheromone warehouse for preservation. In this way, Yagami Ryusuke had 2 copies on hand. 6-level biopheromone. It can be converted into 6 golden entries. Even 6 garbage golden entries can be decomposed into 60,000 experience points. What's more, I also know that these can't be 6 garbage the golden entries. Not to mention other things, the blood power of these 2 Otsutsuki alone does not allow the entries transformed from them to be garbage. After all, not everyone is a filial son in the ninja world. Boom. On the earth, an abyss winding for thousands of miles appeared, and the surrounding area was covered with thousands of miles of red earth. Almost 1/3 of the entire planet was cleared of the surface by the power of Yagami Ryusuke's explosion in 1 second. That's it? He still couldn't kill Otsutsuki Kawashi? His body disappeared in an instant. Using the power of Yomi Hirasaka, he appeared in an unknown space. Then, his beaten body began to recover, and 1/3 of it began to recover. Within seconds, the body returned to its original normal state. At this time, Yagami Ryusuke also followed the traces of Huanquan Hirasaka's space. When Otsutsuki Kawashiki saw it, he also roared and burst out with stronger contract power. The previous 20% power explosion was obviously not enough. Therefore, this time Otsutsuki Mikawa style directly exploded 80% of the power of contract. The strength reached 800% of the normal level. However, even if Otsutsuki exploded with 80% of the power of contract Kikawa style, after fighting, he still found that he could not beat the human opposite him who had the reincarnation eye. Damn it! How could the Tensagen be so powerful? Otsutsuki Kawashiki doesn't believe in evil. It's not like he hasn't seen the reincarnation eye before. Within the Otsutsuki clan, there are only 17 or 8 who have awakened the reincarnation eye, but there are still 11 or 2. Therefore, Otsutsuki Kawashiki knows very well. I know what the power of the Tsenjikan is like. In the Tsenjian chakra mode, it is impossible to have such a large increase in combat power. The human in front of me, obviously abnormal. Naturally, the increase in Tsenjian chakra mode is not that strong. Yagami Ryusuke used the power of the entry to allow himself to explode with such powerful strength. But, this is not his limit. In the same way, to read cool novels, go to Fila Novel Network. The Otsutsuki River style in front of him showed no signs of reaching him. After discovering that 80% of the power of the bond was still unable to defeat this human being, Otsutsuki Kawashi roared and activated 95% of the power of the bond in his body. Before 90%, every time the power of bond increases by 10%, your own strength will increase by 100% in all aspects. And after 90%, for every 1% improvement in the power of contract, one's own all-round strength will increase by 100%. The Otsutsuki River style has never inspired more than 91% of the power of agreement. Not only because he has never encountered an enemy who is powerful enough for him to use this power, but also because Otsutsuki Mikawa's body cannot withstand such a huge increase in power. The increase in contract requires the support of one's own body. In addition, the huge chakra in the body can also share some of the pressure. Before today, Otsutsuki Kawashiki did not dare to use more than 91% of the power of the contract, because it would kill himself. And today he swallowed a fruit from the sacred tree. Obtained 10,000 shadow level chakra. This directly doubled the chakra in the body, and this part of the chakra was fed back to Otsutsuki Gawa's body, causing his body to also improve to a certain extent. Therefore, he dared to use more than 91% of the power of the contract. That's true, after exploding 95% of the contract power, Otsutsuki Kawa's body still let out bursts of painful groans. It was as if his body was accusing him, telling him not to torture his body like this. But Otsutsuki Kawashiki, who fell into rage, could not care about so much. At this time, the Otsutsuki River style, which has activated 95% of the power of the contract, has reached 1400% of its normal strength in all directions. Although not as good as Ryusuke Yagami's 2400%. However, the foundation of the Otsutsuki River style itself is stronger than Ryusuke Yagami, almost 3 times as strong as him. Therefore, after being strengthened by 1400%, Otsutsuki Gawa's power directly surpassed Ryusuke Yagami in one fell swoop. Taking advantage again. However, advantages are advantages. But it's only a few times stronger than Yagami Ryusuke's current state. To be honest, this strength is limited. It cannot reach a point of crushing. At this time, the two figures collided again and again in this unknown space. Each shockwave erupts is enough to destroy everything within thousands of kilometers. Fortunately, this unknown space is large enough. It is enough to support them in a short period of battle without collapsing. But this time is only a few minutes. A few minutes later, the entire unknown space began to collapse. Ryusuke Yagami and Otsutsuki Kawashiki also left this unknown space in the form of Hirazaka in an instant, and returned to the previous planet again. As soon as he appeared, Yagami Ryusuke used his own Huanquan Hirasaka to be faster than Otsutsuki Gawa's style, appeared directly in front of him, and gave him an elbow attack containing billions of tons of power. Boom! Otsutsuki Kawa's body smashed directly through the earth. From one end of the planet, it instantly crashed through nearly 20,000 kilometers of earth and flew out from the other end of the planet. Boom! The whole planet is roaring. Otsutsuki Kawashi, who was almost flying out of the atmosphere, shook his head hard. Then he whipped his leg to one side. Boom! Ryusuke Yagami failed to make a sneak attack and blocked the Otsutsuki River style attack with his arms crossed. Human, I want to eat you. Otsutsuki Kawashiki roared. Having activated 95% of the power of the contract, he was unexpectedly attacked by this human and almost had his head blown off. This made Otsutsuki Kawashiki furious. This guy is really difficult to deal with. Yakami Ryusuke looked at the furious Otsutsuki Kawashi over there, then took a deep breath, and then opened the newly closed Rinnegan again. In an instant, a pupil power that was 20 times more than before came from Yagami Ryusuke's. The eyes burst out. At the same time, the original blue reincarnation eye chakra mode. As the reincarnation eye was opened again, it merged with the reincarnation eye to form a new pair of 3 Megatama reincarnation eyes. The blue energy instantly turned into red the blood flames. At the same time, the original 300% increase also suddenly increased to 1200%. The Rinnegan Chakra mode is on. Yagami Ryosuke has entered a new mode, and his all-round strength has reached the previous level 4 times. The overall increase has reached 9600%. This is an exaggeration. In comparison, the power of its Tsutsukigawa style was once again crushed by Ryosuke Yagami. It was originally better than Yagami Ryosuke's Tsutsukigawa style was a few times stronger, but at this time, Ryosuke Yagami overtook him, and in turn was about 2 to 3 times stronger than him. What? This is impossible. I felt the terrifying power erupting from Yagami Ryosuke, whose body was burning with blood and flames. Atsutsuki Kawashiki, who was a few kilometers away in the sky, opened his eyes wide with a look of shock. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 201. Turn out to be, the chakra pattern of the Rinnegan Tsanjian is also red. Yagami Ryosuke himself turned on this mode for the first time. While he was intoxicated by the powerful power, he also discovered that the chakra energy of the Samsara Tsanjana chakra mode seemed to be determined according to the color of the eyes. The front Tsanjikan is blue, so the chakra is blue. Now the reincarnation eye is red. So the chakra is also red. However, let alone it is pretty good looking. Compared with the tranquility and peace of blue, it is much red. It's a bit wild, domineering, and cold. Yagami Ryosuke is very satisfied with this look. Even the hair that stands up upside down is almost as good as a Super Saiyan. Are you sure this is not a Super Saiyan transformation? Check it out. The figure disappeared instantly. This was not a teleportation, but Yagami Ryosuke's speed was too fast, giving people the feeling of teleporting. How fast was Yagami Ryosuke at this time? For ninjas in the world, the running speed basically has an average speed for each level. Not counting some special cases, such as genin with jounin strength, genin with super shadow strength and other monsters. Normal genin running the speed is basically about 40 meters per second. Of course, this is the top speed. It is the speed of using the instant body technique, and it is impossible to travel long distances. If you travel a long distance, you may have to be cut in half directly. For jounin, the top speed can reach about 300 meters per second. Some elite jounin can break the speed of sound. For example, Kakashi who uses Reikari. For example, elite jounin with physical skills such as Metkai. And almost all shadow level experts can reach the speed. Breaking the speed of sound, unless one is particularly bad at speed, but this is rare. Or the body is too old and can no longer run. There are also a small number of such ninjas in the world. For example, Tsuchika Jonaki. But the cage level is strong in the prime of life. The ultimate speed of the attackers is basically around 3 times the speed of sound. There are also some that are extremely fast. For example, the 3rd generation Reikage and the 4th generation Reikage are extremely fast and can exceed 10 times the speed of sound. There is also Konoha White Fang. The speed is also very fast. As for the Super Shadow class, the speed increase is actually not much. For example, the 3rd generation and 4th generation Reikage, their speed is actually similar to the Super Shadow class, and even faster than some Super Shadow classes. But the Super Shadow class is in other they are far superior to them in many aspects, so they are Super Shadows, they are the peak of shadow level, or quasi-super shadow. Those who can really break through the limit of 10 times the speed of sound must be the strong ones at the 6th level. The most representative one is Otang members of the Mu clan. Because most of them have the ability to study the bond. Using the power of the bond, their physical skills are so strong that they can explode, and their speed can exceed 10 times the speed of sound several times. The previous Itsutsuki River style, after the explosion, the speed once reached 50 times the speed of sound. A speed of 17 kilometers per second. And after Yagami Ryusuke turned on the Rinnegan Chakra mode at this moment, his speed was faster than the explosive Itsutsuki River style. 110 times the speed of sound. He can move at a terrifying speed of 37.4 miles per second. The key is his nerve reaction speed, which can fully support him to move flexibly at this speed. He can even run in circles around two large trees a few meters apart. Easily avoided without hitting the tree. At this time, in Itsutsuki Kawashi's eyes, Yagami Ryusuke's speed was more than twice as fast as his own. He barely raised his hand to block, but was blocked by Yagami Ryusuke. Kami Ryusuke feinted with a shot and punched directly through his chest. His fist came out from his body and blew his heart out. But this injury is nothing to Itsutsuki's physique. Itsutsuki Kawashi fought hard. However, Yagami Ryusuke, whose body was covered in blood and flames, had been completely beaten. He attacked the Itsutsuki River style nearly 150,000 times in 1 second. Itsutsuki Kawashiki barely blocked less than 67% of the attacks, and all other attacks were hit, beating his body to pieces. The cornered Itsutsuki Kawashiki tried to use the golden decomposition ray shot from the 9 Megatama Samsara eyes on his forehead to drive back Ryusuke Yagami. Unfortunately, Ryusuke Yagami's speed is much faster than the speed of the beam. This ray is not the speed of light, but only more than 10 times the speed of sound. Yagami Ryusuke was able to dodge easily, and then defeated Itsutsuki Ichijo's wall with one punch. Yomi Hirazan. Itsutsuki Kawashiki panicked. He tried to escape Yagami Ryusuke's pursuit by using Hirazaka. But Yagami Ryusuke directly grabbed his hair and forcefully pulled him out of the portal of Hirazaka. Come out. Space pressure. Boom. The space around a large area seemed to have turned into a muddy swamp. Itsutsuki Kawashiki also felt like he was imprisoned. He could only watch as he was dragged out by Yagami Ryusuke, and then punched to pieces his head. Boom. The power of his fist came out from his body, blasting a large area of the land behind him into powder. A large piece of the planet's surface was missing, as if it had been chewed into an apple. Died. Ryusuke Yagami stopped. Itsutsuki Kawashiki, whose head was blown out and the rest of his body was basically destroyed, should be dead. Even the immortal physique of the Itsutsuki clan cannot withstand this level of destruction. But the next second, Ryusuke Yagami saw a figure in the far distance, hundreds of kilometers away from here, opening a black portal and trying to escape. Why did you go there? Ryusuke Yagami looked confused. The small remains of the body of this Itsutsuki River were still around. Why did a complete Itsutsuki River appear 100 kilometers away? Could it be the ability of his reincarnation eyes? Or is it the ability of his 9 Megatama Samsara eye? Both eyes of Itsutsuki Kawashiki are Rinegans, and they are rare black Rinnegan eyes. Ryusuke Yagami has never seen black Rinnegan eyes. And Itsutsuki Kawashiki has never used the ability of these Rinnegan eyes. That is, his golden 9 Megatama Samsara eye has shot that kind of decomposition ray, but the 9 Megatama Samsara eye obviously cannot have such an ability, right? Therefore, Yagami Ryusuke guessed that this may be one of his 3 Samsara eyes. An ability. Resurrection. Or substitute death. No matter which one it is, this Itsutsuki River style is really frightened. He actually plans to run away. A member of the dignified Itsutsuki clan actually wants to escape during the battle. You won't be afraid of being laughed at by other Itsutsuki if you speak out? Space pressure. Ryusuke Yagami rushed over there instantly, and at the same time, the pressure of space was released, covering an area of hundreds of kilometers. Just as Itsutsuki Kawashiki was about to enter the portal of Hirazaka to escape, he found that the surrounding space was blocked again. Confined, he couldn't move at all. Damn humans. Otsutsuki Kawashi roared. He struggled hard, and his body slowly moved little by little. Although it was very slow, it was indeed moving. The golden 9 Magatama Samsara eye on his forehead released a dazzling golden light, and his pupil power was also constantly consumed rapidly. The next second, Golden Wheel reincarnation explodes. Ryosuke Yagamai was tens of kilometers away and directly used the Golden Wheel reincarnation blast. Several red-seeking jade in his hand rotated and turned into a lightsaber that emitted dazzling red light. This Golden Wheel reincarnation blast also turned red. Yagamai Ryosuke was slightly surprised, and then slashed with his sword. Under normal circumstances, the Golden Wheel reincarnation explosion can split a planet of more than 20,000 kilometers with one sword. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to filunovels.net. As for the red Golden Wheel reincarnation blast in the Rinnegan Chakra mode, the distance of the red lightsaber actually spreads directly to more than 200,000 kilometers away. The distance is 10 times that of the Golden State. The power is even more than that of the Golden State. 10 times. With one strike of the sword, it was as if the entire galaxy was about to be split apart by Ryosuke Yagamai's Golden Wheel reincarnation explosion. In an instant, in less than 0.1 seconds, the red lightsaber struck straight on the body of Otsutsuki Kawashi, who was dozens of kilometers away. The terrifying destructive force directly twisted Otsutsuki Kawashi's body into powder. Then, the red lightsaber remained unabated and directly split the planet under his feet. And even split apart two satellites that were several times smaller than the moon that were hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from the planet. Boom! The planet exploded directly. In an instant, a bright light enveloped it. The entire planet was blown to pieces in an instant. Ryosuke Yagamai was covered in blood and flames, and he quietly looked at the exploding planet in the distance. For a moment, he was amazed at the terrifying destructive power of the red Golden Wheel reincarnation explosion. Superstar. He should be dead this time, right? Ryosuke Yagamai thought. He watched Otsutsuki Kawashi's body being blasted into powder with his own eyes. The red Kinrin Tensei explosive light sword was several meters thick. How old was Otsutsuki Kawashi's body? So it wasn't split by the lightsaber. He opened it, but was directly blasted to pieces. He shouldn't be able to survive no matter what. Just when Ryosuke Yagamai was full of confidence and felt that Otsutsuki Kawashi was dead this time. Again in the void 100 kilometers away from him, Otsutsuki Kawashi, which had been blown to pieces, was still intact. Appeared perfectly. No. Are you infinitely resurrected? Ryosuke Yagamai was shocked. What kind of magical ability is this? Is there no limit to the number of resurrections? Seeing Otsutsuki Kawashi opening the black portal again and running away. How could Ryosuke Yagamai give him this chance? Space pressure. Golden Wheel reincarnation explodes. Come again with the same set meal. Otsutsuki Kawashi in the distance was in bad shape. The golden 9 Magatama Samsara eye on his forehead has regressed to 6 Magatama. His ability to resurrect has permanently lost the upper limit of his pupil power. It can be said that he is consuming his own power for resurrection. The first resurrection was okay, and he could barely maintain the state of the 9 Magatama Samsara eye. But the second resurrection resulted in 3 Magatama being lost. Humans, fuck me. Otsutsuki Mikawa cursed loudly, but before he could finish his curse words, he was already turned into powder by the red Kinrin Tensei explosion. Dead. Ryosuke Yagamai looked around. A few seconds later, sure enough, he saw Otsutsuki River style again at a location 100 kilometers away from him. Every time he is resurrected, he is 100 kilometers away from me, so the distance to his resurrection location is calculated based on my location? The furthest distance cannot be more than 100 kilometers. Ryosuke Yagami guessed in his mind, while giving Etsutsuki Kawashi again a package of space pressure and red golden will reincarnation explosion. Then the Rinnegan eye on his forehead had regressed to the 3 Megatama state, and Etsutsuki just watched helplessly. Then his body was once again blasted into powder by the red golden will reincarnation explosion. Tired? Destroy it? Etsutsuki Kawashi's whole person exuded an aura of despair. Even if it takes a few seconds for him to come back to life again. Nor did he continue to use the power of Yomi Hirasaka to open the portal and try to escape. Instead, he stood there blankly, and the golden samsara eye on his forehead also changed from the 9 Magatama state at the beginning to the ordinary golden samsara eye state without a single Megatama. Etsutsuki Kawa's ability to revive was given by the golden Megatama samsara eye on his forehead. The Megatama is gone, the ability to resurrect is gone. In other words, that time just now was his last resurrection. If I die again now, that is really dead. It is impossible to be resurrected. However, faced with the result of being resurrected and killed again and again, Etsutsuki Kawashi became numb. He even gave up resistance completely. Just floating in the void. Silly, waiting for the judgment of fate to come. And Ryosuke Yagami did not live up to his expectations. The next second after Etsutsuki Kawa's resurrection, the feeling of stagnant space came as expected. Etsutsuki Kawashi didn't want to talk anymore. Who knows why this human being is so capable of overpowering me? He exploded the power of the bond and activated an unprecedented 95% of the power of the bond. As a result, this human being had an inexplicable samsara Tsangian chakra mode. What it is? Never heard of it? He knew the reincarnation eye and the reincarnation eye. But what is the reincarnation eye? Does such a thing really exist? Even though he was already so horny, he couldn't beat this human being who had activated the Rinnegan chakra mode. Now, he can't even do anything like running away without losing face. Resurrected again and again. Then he was bombarded and killed again and again. He obviously had a chance to run, but he was stopped at the door and refused to let in. You are simply not a human being.